the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 4 of the 2020 Karts to Computers Racing Series, Season 2. We come to you live tonight from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, otherwise known as Mosport, some of our local Ontario Canadians here. This is an exciting race tonight. I know that we came off of, I think, one of my favorite races we've ever had in the series at Charlotte on Friday night, but tonight we get back into the swing of the road course things. I think we have 2 or 3 road courses in a row at this point in the season. We go to Nürburgring next week on Friday, which should be a very exciting race that I'm sure I'll talk about quite a bit today. But for the time being, we're here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a track very local to those of us who live in the general area of Ontario that I and many of our karting drivers in the series tonight do. It is one of the smaller road courses we'll run all year, hence why we're running it in the Skip Barber. But we come here after, as I mentioned, our Charlotte race, which is a very, very different race at in the Indy cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Oval. So as usual, we'll do a race recap there, and then I have some housekeeping to go over with the point standings and everything. I have a team standings graph tonight, which I've talked about quite a bit in the last few weeks, but tonight I finally get a chance to show it off. So, well, for the time being, we will first head to a race recap for our race last week, at round 3 at Charlotte, and then we will get into your information about tonight's race. And as mentioned in our last race, we were indeed at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the oval version, not the roval version that we did last season. It was the oval we did for the All-Star race. On the pole, as usual for the ovals, it was Michael Chrobok. He is an absolute pole master at tracks like these. He took the green flag here with Logan Pacza, who was outside I believe, the 3rd straight time this season that they qualified 1-2. You see here just a taste of the racing we were watching at the beginning of the broadcast. You see here they go 2 wide up front. 2 lanes of it to be exact. Bedrosian, Pacza, and Chrobok, they're the top 3 cars. Jordan West is that black car on the outside. The 4 of them had great races all day, but here our first incident of the day. That's Max Preston getting into Josh Gallagher here, I think on lap 4 or 5 very early in the race. You see he completely loses a front left tire. He would actually bow out of the race, I believe, due to technical problems. See later in the race, this is Logan Pacza and Andrew Bedrosian. Bedrosian passing for the lead. I think the first or second time he's held the lead all season. But what a move by him to make that pass. Now Marco Fleece makes the move on him when he taps the apron a little bit. But a moment later, Bedrosian trying to make the pass back on Fleece. They'd make a huge contact happen there on the inside wall. We actually caught that one on board, and just a huge wreck between the two of them. They needed quick repairs each. Now you see later Chrobok trying to defend from Pacza. Again, you just get an idea of how tough the racing is here, and the passing is quite intense and high speed. Pacza just flies straight underneath Chrobok there. Now Manuel Guerra, I think, made damage off the, or took contact off the wall the lap before, and which left him with damage that made him go across the tri-oval and get into another car there. I think it was Jordan West, but Pacza would make the move back on Chrobok late in the race. These two were fighting for the lead all night, just as well as Bedrosian and Fleece were. You see these top 4 would form into a group, but it became a fuel mileage race. Rich Foligno became the last man not to pit, and it looked like he had the win in his grasp, but unfortunately, just moments later, he would need to come into the pits, and as you see here, everybody was going on very long fuel stints, so it meant Josh Gallagher became the next car that looked like he would win the race. You see here, he's taking the white flag. We had all but counted everybody else. Me and myself and Justin Lewick were kind of your 2 commentators at this point, but we called it as Josh Gallagher headed off to the infield here. You see Marco Fleece following him. I think both gentlemen ran out that lap, so Logan Pacza would fly by. He'd fly through the last corner with plenty of fuel to spare, and he would win his first oval race in the Karts to Computers Racing Series, his 2nd of the year, and actually his 2nd in a row, and he would take the championship points lead here. You see he does his donuts as he often does with victories, and gets absolutely clobbered by Rich Foligno, completely by accident. It just looked like Rich didn't exactly know where he was going to go. And just like that, those were your final results for round 3 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Logan Pacza, Andrew Bedrosian getting his 2nd podium of the year, or 3rd podium of the year, actually. He's on a 3-race streak of doing so. After that, Devin Crosby getting his first Yeah, it was his first podium of the season as well. Rich Foligno, after that, having a very good year as well in the points. Josh Gallagher, another Lad Pedal Motorsports driver, 2 to 5 were all Lad Pedal Motorsports guys. After that, Felice, Crocker, who are now teammates this season, as I'll mention in a moment, followed by Chrobok, Guerra, and West would round out your top 10. So overall, it was a great race, and as all of you that were there to watch it will remember, myself and Justin Lewick kind of became a two-man commentary duo by the end of the race, which was exciting for sure. It's fun to for once be the director with a co-commentator next to me rather than the old way I used to do it as the commentator myself for a different channel. So it was an exciting time, and I know all of you guys seem to like it. So I've extended the offer to Justin if he ever was in a situation like that again where he wanted to come in and co-commentate a race with me, that I would be more than happy to have him do so. So that offer is out to him this season. If he were to crash out early in a number of races and didn't have a quick repair to get back, well, he's got the offer out there if he ever wanted to. So maybe that'll be a possibility. Obviously, I'll never cheer for a guy to crash out, but it'll be a good opportunity. So those of you that enjoyed the ending of last race, well, we might have a few more races like it in the future this season. So, but for the time being, now we have to go over the results as of season 3 of our series after Charlotte Motor Speedway, of course. So we now go to our race winner slide, the one that I'm going to keep updating throughout the season. So, in our first half of the season, in our 10 races to start off our year, including our All-Star race, we are 3 races in. As you can see, Michael Chrobok won at Talladega to start off our season, and Logan Pacza has taken the last 2 races at Watkins Glen and Charlotte, respectively. Of course, now we head to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, as you see there, but here are our individual point standings for those wondering. Logan Pacza now taking a 10-point lead over Michael Chrobok in second with 84 points total. After that, Michael with 74 points will currently sit second in our championship points. Andrew Bedrosian after that, Mr. Consistency, I think is the title I'd give him so far. I believe he's the only driver to finish top 5 every race so far this season. Even Logan Pacza and Michael Chrobok can't boast that fact. After that, Rich Foligno and Josh Gallagher tied for 4th, both from different halves of the Lad Pedal Motorsports affiliate, both blue and green respectively. Lad Pedal Motorsports green teammate there of Devin Crosby sits in 6th with 45 points. Marshall Crocker, my father, sits in 7th position there with 42 points. And he is actually joining a team this season, I should mention. Himself and Marco Felice, who may currently sit in last, but he's actually a race down in everybody else in the series. They have formed, as I'm currently dubbing them, M&M Motorsports, that will be driving primarily red liveries this season. Can, of course, update their team names if they'd like, if they can think of one. But for the time being, they have now joined and become and will become our 8th fully fledged team in our series this season. After that, the 2 MJ Motorsports teammates, or I guess it's JM because Justin Luke did finish better in the last race, and that's the joke I keep making about their team name. So there you go, JM Motorsports of Justin Luke and Max Preston in 8th and 9th. Jordan West tied with Preston for 9th there. Following that is John Guerra there in 11th, Manuel Guerra in 12th, Logan Ferguson, who I believe might be missing tonight's race, but haven't quite confirmed that yet, in 13th, and Marco Felice, as I mentioned, now just joining a team this season with my father in 14th. Now we go to the team standings. The graphic I've done kind of in the same style as most of my other ones, where I just do my very best in Microsoft Paint there. So as you can see, your championship leaders for the team's points are the Lad Pedal Blue teammates, or sorry, Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue, I believe is the full name. The teammates of Rich Foligno and Michael Chrobok sitting, I believe, 2nd and 5th in the points respectively. After that, the Logan Motorsports teammates of Logan Pacza, your championship leader, and Logan Ferguson sitting, I believe, kind of middle, lower tier in the standings, I think 10th or 11th. After that, Lad Pedal Motorsports Green with 100 points, sitting just 10 back of second, 19 or 29 back of first, that being Crosby and Gallagher. Then MJ Motorsports, or I guess in this case JM Motorsports for tonight's race at 73 points, that being Justin Lewick and Max Preston respectively. After that, Lad Pedal Motorsports Orange with 71 points, and it's important to note that that team is made up of Andrew Bedrosian and Sam McEachern. Sam still hasn't been able to make it out to a race yet, so that team is being entirely carrying the burden by Andrew Bedrosian there. He is providing all 71 points to their team total. After that, Diabolique Motorsports tied for 6th with M&M Motorsports, the newly formed team that was not an official team for the first 3 races, but are now, so hence they are officially on the team standings. Each at 65 points each, the 2 Guerra brothers making up Diabolique Motorsports, and Marshall Crocker and Marco Felice making up M&M. And finally, Blackout Racing, made up currently of only Jordan West. He does need a new teammate. His original teammate will not be able to make it out this season, so I will now go on the hunt for another teammate for him this season, and then hopefully we will get that 36 points total way up so we can have a closer championship battle this year. And finally, the only other thing I'll do tonight is show you a quick map of our track tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, of course, otherwise known as Mosport. This is not the karting configuration many of you would be familiar with if you're a parent or friend or whatever of a karting driver here in Canada. This is actually the road car circuit. They actually use it for NASCAR series. The NASCAR Xfinity series runs here sometimes. So you see here, it's a pretty simple layout overall. Certainly not quite as complicated as even Watkins Glen that we went to earlier this season, but you talk about Clayton Corner and Corner 4. It doesn't officially have a name as far as I know, but those are the two corners that stand out to me. They're two very difficult long downhill sweeping corners. I guess 1 and 3 more so, but you want to talk about vertical inclines and declines as we talked about at Watkins Glen this season. I mean, look no further than Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This track is full of them. So as you see, only 10 corners, but it looks a lot more difficult in person. Unfortunately, we don't have time for the track map tonight and a lap of the track with one of our series drivers, but well, hopefully we will get a chance to go on board an entire lap with one of them for one of our side-by-sides tonight. So, well, that officially finishes off this part of the broadcast. Let me just throw up your timing tower and your current session time just to get an idea of how long we have left. Only a minute left in the session. Only 9 drivers have gotten a chance to run a qualifying lap so far. So Max Preston did manage to run one. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to make it tonight, but good to see he has. So we should have 13 or 14 drivers tonight, which isn't bad at all, actually, for a road course race. So, well, currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard, Logan Pacza. That is, there are certainly bigger surprises in our series than Logan Pacza being first at a road course qualifier. He is just really our entire series been kind of the man to go to if you want a really quick time at a road course. So I didn't actually get a chance, I don't think, to see him at either of our 2 practice sessions this week, so not relatively sure about how quick he'll be, but I know Justin Luke actually ran our fastest lap in our pre-race warm-up, so interesting to note. He's actually down in 5th currently, but no, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if you were to be able to improve in the race by any means. Actually, I should note, I think in the broadcast the other day, I think I misphrased giving him good luck, and it sounded like I was wishing him or saying that I wouldn't be able to see him in the interview for whatever reason. So just to clarify for those of you wondering on that, I am of the utmost confidence that Justin could have a really good race tonight. So starting 5th and being quickest in a warm-up will do just that. Besides that, Devin Crosby is primarily an oval guy, but really that reputation that I was, to my understanding, based on his experience, is kind of breaking down because he has been really, really quick at our road courses as of late, and definitely one of the guys that surprisingly doesn't have a win in our series yet. He's come so close several times, but well, tonight, depending on how the race goes, it could be one of the times that changes that. So, well, you see officially, as we will pull down our timing tower, we can now go to our total qualifying standings here for round 3 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Or, sorry, not Charlotte Motor Speedway, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I'm too stuck in the last race still. And as you can see there, sorry, I should just point it out, my name down there, Marshall Crocker Jr., that is me. I'm your host. I never actually do get the chance to mention it, but I am the host of the series and kind of the founder of the series as a whole, and I'm also the broadcaster for said series here. So hopefully you guys all have a good time watching our race tonight. It'll just be 50 laps tonight, so it shouldn't be a crazy long race. Certainly nothing compared to our first race of the season at Talladega. But now we got to look at our qualifying standings. On the pole, he drives the number 1 for a reason, as he is your former series champion for Season 1. Logan Pacza will take the pole tonight with a 1:34.498 lap. Not a bad time at all. I think it was maybe half a second off of our fastest time in warm-up or so. So it's not like a crazy quick time, but in the Skip Barbers, you can never run all too quick on your very first lap, as the tires do take forever to warm up. After that, Michael Chrobok sitting second in the points. This is the 4th straight time Pacza and Chrobok have qualified top 2. So, I mean, it's a 15-race season. Let's see if they can keep the streak going further into the season. I think Andrew Bedrosian has qualified 3rd 3 times, actually. So, this top 3 we are no doubt familiar with, as Andrew Bedrosian will round out that top 3. Devin Crosby only 0.05 of a second behind him, though, for 3rd. It came down very close there. After that, on row 3 is Justin Lewick and Max Preston there in 5th and 6th respectively, running 0.4 and 0.6 off the pace. Jordan West and Rich Foligno will be row 4. Jordan West, of course, currently solo for Blackout Motorsports, but again, I will do everything in my power to give him a teammate going forward this season. After that, Rich Foligno will not round out your drivers in that were able to qualify tonight. My father, Marshall Crocker Sr., part of the new M&M Motorsports team with Marco Felice starting right behind him. Actually, both drivers starting on row 5. After that, Logan Ferguson, not myself. Now, again, I'm always on these graphics, so for those of you wondering if it's your first time here, I am always on those. Don't think too much of them there. So, actually, in 12th is Manuel Guerra, and in 13th is John Guerra, both drivers unable to qualify. So, well, you see the pace car heading off right now, so we'd better hurry up and get to the action here. We just pull that down, get your timing tower up, and we will now be all set to go for round 4 of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Just a quick sec to point out your drivers tonight. Maybe we'll do a quick introduction while they do the warm-up lap. These warm-up laps can take a little bit of time, so we have some time to go over your drivers in tonight's race. Let me just, there we go, throw up your driver names. So, on the pole in tonight's race, driving that Spitfire car. I mean, it's not quite the same color as the other ones he's run this season, but it is very cool to see those liveries. Both him and Logan Ferguson running that identical livery tonight, I believe. Logan Pacza, currently your championship leader, sitting at 84 points at the moment there, will start the race on the pole there. Behind him, Michael Chrobok, his first time in a Skip Barber race in a while, but he actually did win our second practice race last night. The first, I believe, was won by Devin Crosby. But yes, he will indeed start in the second position there, driving that number 3 LPM Blue HPP Simulations car there. After that, Andrew Bedrosian once again driving in his black and orange entry for Lad Pedal Motorsports Orange, a team currently only occupied by himself, but that 22 car will have some company soon, I am sure of it. Devin Crosby, after that, I believe driving a old F1 Jaguar throwback car, sitting in the 4th position for Lad Pedal Motorsports Green. After that, Justin Lewick in the classic Red Bull entry that he ran last season will start the race in 5th. His teammate Max Preston running a different colored entry. The two didn't quite run orange liveries, so I'll have to keep that in mind and try to remember for the race to know who they are by seeing them on track. But they will start on the 3rd row. After that, the all-black Puma car of Jordan West will start in 7th. You see him there trying to warm his tires up like a few other drivers. Rich Foligno, after that, driving the dark blue and black Red Bull car of Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue. Marshall Crocker Sr. in the All-Canada entry starting in 9th. Marco Fleece starting there in 10th in the, I believe it's the Prime Power Team car. They ran a lot last season. Logan Ferguson running in a very similar Spitfire car, but not quite the same one as Logan Pacza. And the two Dablik Motorsports teammates of Manuel Guerra and Jean Guerra, actually running very similar but not quite the same entries, will start the race at the back of the field as they did not manage to register a qualifying time. So we are coming here to the start of tonight's race. We're getting up to the start-finish line here, so hopefully all of you get ready to enjoy some racing action tonight. For our 4th race of the season, our first Skip Barber race of the season here, we're going to come around the final corner. Logan Pacza will take the field to green. The green flag is displayed. They are on the gas pedal. Green flag for round 4 of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Logan Pacza will lead the field out of the first corner. Some chaos back in the field. That's a caution. Massive pile up behind. We are going to our caution. And there we go. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder tonight, I am once again in charge of throwing the cautions for the race, meaning that we will have to do this format to show you replays and everything, as I do have to throw them manually myself. But yeah, first corner of the race. Just as I was about to say that we had a pretty clean start there. As we go through the first corner here, we're on board with Marco Fleece. Let me just throw his name up there. But yeah, so you see through the first corner, coming down through corner 1. He's on the inside there. It looks pretty home free. I think he just slides up a little bit there to Rich Foligno, I believe, is the back end of that car, the Red Bull there. The two cars head around. Huge damage to the front left tire of Marco Fleece. Let's see how Rich Foligno got away from that incident. Just a little bit of rear damage. Both front wheels were able to stay intact, so we should be able to make it back to the pits without a tow. But I mean, Marco Fleece, you just look at the car he's got there. Actually, he might be able to make it away from that. It looked like a tire had buckled, but it would be very helpful for his purposes if he's able to get back to the pits under his own power. But it looks like he was not quite able to. So we do head to our first caution of the night. And let me just throw that up there. So on lap 1, we have our very first caution. You see the drivers will now get some time to warm up their tires on their own because, as I mentioned, these Skip Barber cars, I know we ran them all out last season, but for those of you that may forget the properties of these cars, well, their tires are absolutely brutal to try to run and get heat in. Basically like driving on ice skates. They're just cold stone, lack of traction tires you run on for the first few laps, and they can be absolutely brutal. You see that down this downhill section. I swear, I think the first 5 times I ever tried to run this track in preparation for tonight, for practice, every time I was just flying into the outside wall there trying to get the tires up to speed. So props to these guys for taking all the time they can to just wave the wheel back and forth and try to get some heat in them, get the traction all up to par. It can be a little bit dizzying, honestly, for doing what they're doing lap after lap after lap. I mean, you see Andrew Bedrosian back there getting some solid swing, but just doing that all lap. It can get a little repetitive, but guys that are able to do it more than others will definitely see the benefits of it. So it's if I were to compare it to something, you know those little toy cars you rev that you like run them back really quick on the floor and then you let them go and they shoot away? That's kind of the effort this requires in order to get any speed out of the car at all. So if the guys behind Mr. Pacza want to be able to pass him, then they want to make sure their tires are up to speed for this very next time by. Of course, we do have one more practice lap after that, or sorry, one more caution lap after this. You see the lights on the pace car are still on. But what else was I going to talk about? I had something I wanted to mention before. Oh, I should mention, this is our Father's Day race falling on Father's Day. So thank you, everybody out there, all the fathers out there. I know some of the fathers of our drivers in the series. I mean, Logan Pacza's dad, for example. I know I'll show up to these broadcasts, so happy Father's Day to all of you out there. It was impressive, actually, that we were able to get as good of an attendance tonight as we did. I was worried that some people would have plans for Father's Day and would be unable to make it out tonight. But, I mean, luckily my father was running in the race, so it's easy for this to kind of be a Father's Day activity of its own, really. So he currently runs in 8th. But, yeah, so looking around the field, I'm trying to think of something else worth talking about here. As I mentioned, this is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a track very local to all of us. I don't exactly know what city it's in. It's pretty far out in the country. That I've been there before, but I've gone to the test track that they run. Actually, I think Skip Parker cars at, funny enough. But no, they have like a training academy there that I've been to with my dad, but I've never actually been to the track we're running on tonight. But I know many of you parents out there that have taken your kids to karting activities. I mean, pretty much every kid going through the Canadian karting scene has to go to Mosport at some point, so the track very familiar to all of you. But it's a fun layout for sure. It's one that these kind of downhill runs. Actually, maybe we'll go on board with Logan Pacza for a little bit, just so you can have an idea. Well, he's behind the pace car, but it'll still be a hopefully a pretty good view. But so you see there we go. The sound doesn't appear to be too loud. So, but you see on board with the #1 car of Logan Pacza. I mean, he's on the safety car's bumper, but it's a very difficult, tricky downhill left section where, as I mentioned, that inside wall there is super easy to lose the back end and just slam into coming down the hill. You come into this semi-braking section. This is kind of a weird corner to try to make at speed because you come around with too much speed and you're going to wipe out the grass on the outside, but it feels like you shouldn't really need to brake barely at all in order to make the corner, just the way it's angled. So it's one of the weirder ones on the entire calendar, I will say that. One of the weirder corners in the entire track layout. Then down into a very similar section to that last one, the other downhill left-hand corner of the track. Logan Pacza actually appears to be racing the pace car. He's almost side by side with it there on the tires. So the pace car lights are off, so we will go green next time by. But see him come around through this kind of hairpin thing down into the Mario Andretti straightaway. But that one's a very difficult corner to make for sure. If you come in too hot with barely any traction on a new set of tires, you can just fly into that outside groove, and it's not even close. It's not like you lose the back end like in that first downhill corner there we saw a few minutes ago, or a few seconds ago. It's like you're just not going to turn right. It's not possible. So it's a tough one. The layout overall, until you get onto the straightaway, it's some tricky corners to make on cold tires, or really on new tires for that matter. And then you come through this long straightaway, which is a perfect opportunity for passes to be made, especially on the outside around here into the kind of sweeping right-hander into what is, I think, a very, very tight, maybe 170-degree corner into our second-to-last corner that then ends the track on the home stretch. So this corner under the high speed you go down the entire straightaway can be tough to try to make because, as you can see, it's not a very quick corner by any means, not exactly a braking point. So just kind of got to blow off the gas a little bit. And as you see, Logan Pacza is heading down into first gear because he is getting ready to go here. We'll pull his name off. Going to go back to our normal camera. You see the pace car taking the right hand into the pits. Green flag here for the second time of the day. Hopefully the first full green lap we get here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Logan Pacza is on the gas, will lead the field to green, and behind him is Michael Chrobok. We'll head to our blimp camera, one that we like to run quite a bit in this series, especially at road courses here. The best way to avoid trees, which, as many of you know, are my arch nemesis. Looking back in the field a little bit, Devin Crosby trying to defend from Jordan West there on the bottom of your screen. The car sitting there in 4th and 5th. They're going to go side by side, almost make contact. I think they did. Somebody's in the grass a little ways back. Who is that? That's Logan Ferguson coming off the track. Manages to save it. Nice work by Logan. No crashes up ahead in the field. Trying to tell if there's any passes being made. A few drivers going side by side, but guys kind of throwing it in there. Let's just look around the track and make sure everybody's up to speed. Yeah, nobody appears to be damaged at all. We're going to throw up the track map as well. Always a helpful tool for me to make sure that I'm not missing any drivers elsewhere. Still a little bit too far out, so let's look a little closer here. You see Logan Pacza coming down onto the Mario Andretti straightaway out of the hairpin. Top 3 drivers very close in the field. Somebody in the back just went around. Somebody I just saw, Manuel Guerra. That's Logan Ferguson sitting there with a little bit of damage to his rear wing. It does appear to be a solo incident, so not worth... Oh, never mind. That's going to be a caution. We got multiple drivers involved. Well, here we see the exact incident we just saw there between Devin Crosby and who I believe was Logan Ferguson, also caught in that. But you see here, so side by side is Devin Crosby and Jordan West. We talked about this battle I think a minute ago when we were looking at the blimp camera. But you see, we come down the hill. Devin's got about a half car length in front of Jordan West, but they come up side by side. West makes the pass, and what a huge bounce there. You saw he just bounced off the side of his car. Massive damage to the left-hand tires of Crosby. West lost an entire wheel there. You saw one bouncing in the background. And Ferguson washed out and caught the rear wing there at Crosby's. So some severe damage for sure. I'm not sure if he'll be able to limp that thing back to the pits. I think he'll certainly try if he's got all 4 tires, but certainly not an easy thing to steer at all. So let's catch that from one more angle just to see about the other drivers involved in the incident and what they went through. Let's maybe we'll go on board with Logan Ferguson because he was involved in the aftermath of that and see what he caught from his perspective. We'll go into the first-person view there just to see his perspective. So you see at the top of the hill there, the 2 cars making contact. Crosby with a huge bounce up there, but now here comes Logan Ferguson. I think in an attempt to avoid, he kind of slowed down a little too much, forgot about the how tough he had to turn into this hairpin, and he just kind of washed out a little bit, caught the back tire of Crosby, and you see here he's trying to keep it going. He appears to, actually, so let's see if he was able to limp that thing back to the pits. He's still going as we speak. I'm wondering where in the track this is. I guess pit road wasn't open, so he's got to go around a whole nother lap with this busted car. You see there the kind of the horrifying contraption of a car he's got there. Crosby appears to have fixed his damage already, so I guess he was allowed to go into the pits. But, well, with that, we now head to your second caution of the day on only lap 5. Not much green flag racing we've been able to get in tonight, but as is usual, as I'm sure you guys are familiar with at road course races, sometimes you just got to get all the chaos out of the way at the beginning. As I mentioned there, remember there at Watkins Glen to start our season, Logan Ferguson has crashed there, you see, with the massive damage to his car trying to keep it straight. So let's see if Devin Crosby, who he was running with, is involved in that at all, and if he has any more damage. Doesn't appear to, as he heads down there towards the Mario Andretti straightaway. But yeah, you see Logan Ferguson here, now with the tire buckled. He's still got 3 on the car, so technically has 4 wheels. One's just kind of counterproductive to the attempts of the other 3 in order to get the car to move forward, so well, you can always hope that he'll make it there, he's got a lot of the track to go, but the car appears to be going at a decent speed, so a very noble effort there by Logan Ferguson to get the car around the track. But, well, actually, we are going to head to your first break of the day. You see the lights in the pace car are off, so it'll have to be a quick one, but we will head to commercial momentarily with an onboard from Logan Pacza, and we're going to go side by side before we return for your 3rd green flag start of the race.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back with round 4 of the 2020 Karts to Computers Racing Series Season 2. Still on board here with Logan Pacza, your current race leader, as well as championship leader. Really hasn't had too much work to do so far in tonight's race. I mean, he's only run about maybe 3/4 of the total track layout there, just as a matter of fact, or just as a matter of the case that, you know, unfortunately we haven't gotten a full green flag lap around the track yet. I mean, they got all the way to here, did the top 3 drivers before we had our last caution, so hopefully as guys start to see just how tough it can be to make passes here towards the beginning of stints before everybody kind of pans out, well, hopefully they will be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more lax in this next restart so we can get some good green flag racing in. As of yet, I really haven't had to worry about the strategy for tires or anything because, you know, we haven't had to use them. We've only been doing this and trying to warm them up on the warm-up laps. Speaking of which, you see Michael Chrobok and Andrew Bedrosian still trying to get their tires warmed up. Now Logan Pacza joins in as well. Bedrosian's going to come in and out a little bit there, but as is often the case with some Wi-Fi connections. Marco Felice has rejoined the field. Logan Ferguson has currently not. I don't think he'll be able to be ready to go green here this next time by, but Felice has joined the back of the field a lap down, so well, we will pull down the track name. We're going to see the pace car take the hard left or hard right-hander into the pits. Logan Pacza is back on the gas pedal for your 3rd green flag start of the day at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. What a start here for Michael Chrobok and Andrew Bedrosian, the two Lad Pedal Motorsports drivers. Right behind them, Max Preston didn't get a bad start at all either. He's already moved up 2 spots from the beginning of the day. Top 3 there. What a start, though. They didn't give Logan Pacza any breathing room there at the start of that very first couple of corners. Going to go to our chopper camera here and just watch the rundown through turns. I think that's 3 and 4. Somebody back in the field has come off the track. Is that John Guerra? It is. So it's a one-car collision. It was before the start-finish line, so I don't know how to call that. I mean, technically they weren't able to make it around the first corner, and it was a one-car incident by the looks of it. So the rest of the field is able to head around the start of the lap. So you see here coming through the 2-part hairpin corner. I'm actually not quite sure what this one's called. I might have to consult my track map in a moment. But well, you come here through the Mario Andretti straightaway, this long backstretch to our track where plenty of good passing opportunities can occur. You see Michael Chrobok in the draft there on Logan Pacza coming up the hill. Andrew Bedrosian there in 3rd position, a little bit back from him, but Chrobok's got a good run. Is he going to be able to shoot it to the outside, try to make the pass? He is going to go side by side, so we're going to go to our chopper camera again, see if he's able to do it. He's going to go all the way around to the outside. Does he have the move there? They're going to come into the right-hand sweeper. They're going to go side by side once again. Chrobok will have to make a move work on the outside if he wants it to happen. Now he goes to the inside, coming through corner, I think this is corner 9, second to last one on the track. No, Pax is able to defend the position, but now Bedrosian's starting to catch up to Chrobok. Maybe he wants that second position, teammates as they might be. Sometimes there are more important things than team dynamics, though, and certainly one of them has to be trying to make moves. Chrobok's going to head to the inside this time. Side by side all the way down the hill. Is he going to be able to make the pass clean? Still side by side as they come up the hill down into the long downhill turn section for corner 2 and 3. Chrobok goes all the way to the outside, allowing Paxa to get back in front of him and take the position back for first. But what a good first lap back of racing we've had here. Now Bedrosian's going to run up on the back of Michael Chrobok after that. Justin Lulick, also important to mention, made the pass on his teammate Max Preston a moment ago. So the top 5 made up of 2 MJ Motorsports drivers, a Lad Pedal Blue and a Lad Pedal Orange driver, as well as, of course, Logan Motorsports driver Logan Pacza. They come down the hill and up the hill, coming into the hairpin right before the long backstretch. Side by side they go. Chrobok with a hard shove underneath him there. Almost made the pass happen, but Paxa goes all the way to the curbing in order to keep the position. Nice aggressive move there by Logan Pacza, and same with Michael Chrobok. He just kind of chucked it under there, and Logan had to do whatever he could to try to respond and avoid making an incident happen. John Guerra has rejoined the track now, a lap down. He had to get towed back into the pits there. Manuel Guerra also running in 10th, who is on the lead lap, but he's a little bit back from the field. Chrobok once again in the draft on Paxa. He's able to get the inside line this time. I think he's going to clearly overtake him here. Should get the pretty clean run. He's going to go almost sideways. He saved it there though. Nice move there by Chrobok. He was able to save that almost complete drift, but now Justin Lulick has moved up into 2nd position. Where did Andrew Bedrosian go is my question. I didn't even see what happened to him. A little bit back in the field. Doesn't have damage, but I think he may have had to check up in order to respond to Chrobok almost spinning, and he lost some positions there. No damage, but certainly a little bit of adversity there that he was able to overcome, luckily. Justin Lulick now trying to defend from Michael Chrobok. He's moved all the way up from 5th to 2nd. Those of you who remember, he was commentating the end of our race last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and now he is out there as a driver, almost sitting there in the 1st position if he's able to make a pass on Logan Pacza, who, now that he's got some open breathing room, does apparently seem to be starting to try to pull away from the guys behind him. Looking elsewhere on the track, still no incidents to report as of yet, but the pass continuing to start to set up here with Michael still trying to find a way past Justin Lulick. I mean, if there's anywhere on the track I would recommend doing it, it's this long straightaway through the through corners 7 and 8 here. So Logan Pacza is starting to take off a little bit too far to the draft from Justin Lulick to use him as a slipstream. So now Lulick's got to do everything he can to defend from Michael. I mean, we talked about it a lot last season in any of our Skip Arbor races, but Justin Lulick is an incredible defender here in these Skip Arbor cars, at least in my personal experience watching him. So let's see if he's able to make let's see if he's able to avoid having a move happen. He is not, so Michael will cleanly pass him all the way around coming into corner 8. Not too bad of a time there for Michael Chrobok. Looked pretty simple there. He's going to be able to make the corner cleanly this time by. If you remember last lap, he almost lost the back end entirely, but this time he was able to save it. Been up at the front here for a little while, so let's look back further in the field. Devin Crosby with Jordan West sitting right behind Rich Foligno, the two of them. Somebody's heading into the pits. That's Andrew Bedrosian will pit this time by. First driver to pit under green this entire race so far, of course excluding those that had to pit because of an incident, including Marco Felice, Logan Ferguson, and John Guerra. Speaking of Logan Ferguson, I don't specifically remember why he hit it off the track, but he is now 4 laps down. So Manuel Guerra elsewhere in the field appears to be still trying to get up to speed there. Dropping back a few seconds a lap, and then ahead of them is Rich Foligno with Max Preston up ahead down the road. But Michael has appeared to make the pass back from Justin Lewick. It's tough to try to balance these battles all over the track, but somewhere on track we have it a pass for 9th. That's Manuel Guerra making the move on Andrew Verdrogen in the pits. He will now take over 9th position, and I believe John Guerra will get, no, won't quite get a lap back, but get a lap back on one of our drivers tonight. Logan Pacza continues to attempt to take off down the road, but half a second up from where he was last time this lap. Well, his last lap this time when we were in this particular straightaway. Looking elsewhere through the field, everybody's starting to spread out a little bit there. You see down the hill here, everybody's kind of spread out through the Mario Andretti straightaway. Nobody really at threat of being passed by anybody. Devin Crosby is starting to catch up to Max Preston, though. Sorry, that's Marco Felice there in the Prime Power Team entry. And of course, not quite on the lead lap there, sitting in 11th position after an earlier incident. So Marco will need to make some nice moves if he wants to get his lap back here. The Lucky Dog pass, as is usually in effect, but tonight it is actually turned off. I think we did it at Watkins Glen as well. Sometimes the road courses, it just doesn't quite work nearly as well as trying to do it in an oval. So Andrew Bedrosian makes his way out of the pits almost a minute and a half back from where he sat before. So I'm wondering if he just had damage from a previous incident, but we looked at his car and I couldn't visually see anything happening there that would seem to indicate that it would slow his car down in any meaningful way. So I am kind of surprised that it did take him that long to make it out of the pits, but that would certainly explain why he did decide to pit so early. Of course, no race is ever quite over when you take into account, fuel strategy and things like that, but well, for the time being, there are bigger worries than that for some drivers, as Devin Crosby, in his attempt to get by Marco Felice, has allowed Jordan West to catch up quite meaningfully to the back of his car, just sitting about maybe 2/10, actually less than that. Now you see West maybe looking to the outside there on Crosby. Not quite going to make that move happen, but now he's looking at the over-under. Still gets a really good run here. Is he going to jump to the outside, try to make the move happen there? He is, does it a little bit too late, and he'll need to have a good run here out of the 5th corner if he wants any chance of getting the pass on Crosby coming up the hill here. Looking elsewhere on the track, again, Andrew Bedrosian now sitting in 10th with the lead pack starting to catch up to him. It is, once again, important to mention he did pit in kind of a bizarre manner. Now Devin Crosby is going to head down to the inside of Marco Felice. Going to go side by side. I think Felice has actually a little bit of front nose damage, so that'll help in Crosby's attempt to make the clean pass on him. We'll see if Marco also lets Jordan by, as, of course, this would not be a pass for position if he were able to do it. And he is able to make that pass. So both Devin Crosby and Jordan West get by the number, oh, I forget his number entirely, the number 16 car of Marco Felice. Again, Devin's still trying to defend from Jordan, but we're going to look elsewhere in the field to maybe another driver. This time being Michael Chrobok, still trying to defend from Justin Lewick right behind him. Let's go to our rear camera as they head down the hill here into corners. Still trying to get used to them. I think this is corner 3. Sorry, this is corner 2, corner 3 that they're heading down into as they head into the right-hand sweeping corner, down onto the downhill corner 4. Justin Lewick with a big run there, slides the car in real hard, is able to woe it up in time as he avoids the back end of Michael Chrobok. Damage can be particularly brutal here in these Skip Barber cars, as really any open wheel cars can. If you make contact with the rear wheels of a car and send it around, well, not only do you have the usual problem where you can, check up, make contact, and put a car around like you could in a NASCAR, but in the Skip Barber cars, you have the added issue of they can just rip your tires completely off like any open wheel series. So obviously a thing you want to try to avoid. You want to be able to finish the race first and then finish in a good position second. Looking around the field, Logan Ferguson was able to return to the track in as good news. So maybe if he's able to get some good laps going and pass some lap cars that, well, whether it be through an incident or whatever, that he's able to get some more positions, which is always a possibility. With the 13-car field, not a ton of guys to pass, but again, certainly if there's a crash, he may be able to make the move happen. Speaking of moves, once again, he heads down all the way through the backstretch there to Michael Chrobok and is still able to defend Justin Lewick behind him. Justin Lewick, of course, an MJ Motorsports teammate there. You see on the graphics, he does show up as that kind of goldish orange color, but again, important to note that he is not driving a gold and orange car there in the Red Bull. Somebody has gone around. That's Jordan West falling through the standings. He has made huge contact with the wall. It's a multi-car incident. That's a caution, ladies and gentlemen. And as we come to our third caution of the day, this one involving, I believe, Jordan West and possibly Marco Felice. I thought this battle between Felice and West was pretty much predetermined earlier. They kind of got that whole battle over a second ago, and Marco Felice led him by pretty cleanly. So looks like Marco was able to get back into his groove and able to try to make the pass. Marco just completely loses the back end there, whams into Jordan West coming through corner 9. Huge contact between the two drivers there. We're going to get a replay one more time. Then we go to a chopper camera and see exactly what happened to Felice that allowed him to, or that forced him to lose that much grip and make the spin around into West. See coming here through the long right-hand sweeper. Up ahead is Logan Ferguson coming up to a slower car. Maybe that's part of the reason as to why, but no, he just gets in the grass, and an unfortunately timed incident there for Felice. If West wasn't there, he would have been perfectly fine. I almost think he would have been able to maybe woe it up before he got into the outside barrier there, but now you see Felice trying to get it up to speed here. Not exactly sure where he is on track. Does appear to still be at full speed, but Jordan West will have enough damage that'll force him to go back to the pits. So, well, looking up front to Logan Pacza, now making the move through the final corner of the track. Continues to not pit here as we sit under caution. We are now here on lap 13, so just about 30% of the way through our race tonight. So, not crazy far into tonight's action, but again, we haven't done a ton of green flag laps. This will be a good occasion, though, as it'll allow some drivers to maybe get their lap back if they're able to. Maybe if they pit and allow the lead cars to head into the pits in front of them, well, that would allow them to head to the front of the field and get their lap back. I guess that would be the dream for the cars sitting in 10th, 11th, and 12th position. Of course, 12th now being Jordan West, who has unfortunately crashed and taken a lot of damage. Well, as we come to our third caution, kind of caution pacing section of our race, I'm going to do a quick check of the comments here. There we go. Sorry, they took a second there to pull up, but David Paxa says, exactly, race day, Marshall. Father's Day will need to wait. It most certainly will. Of course, I mean, Father's Day is very important, but sometimes when you get a race night, you got to race, and with the championship being as brutal as it has been to try to get any points whatsoever, you can't stand to miss a single race, can you? So it's good to see all the guys out here, and it's good to see everybody in the crowd. We got a pretty good turnout for early in a race, especially one that has been primarily cautioned so far. Yeah, dragging that tire around, he most certainly is. I know a moment ago that, who was it that had the incident before? It was Logan Ferguson that was attempting to make it around the track with a busted up tire. Same with, I think, Marco Felice a moment ago. So Felice unfortunately involved in the second incident of his race. So he'll need to use a second quick repair, and he is now out. So, or he would be out if he needed to use one more, I should say. And then Megan Foxter, Justin Lewick is killing it tonight. He most certainly is. Sitting up there in third position, almost made the pass up to second once again. He got up to second from fifth position at the, I think, the third or fourth green flag lap of our race. So did a great job in commentary on Friday, and now he's doing an even better job in the race. I mean, Michael is a veteran of the series, and he's certainly one of the most talented guys I've met on iRacing, but Justin is certainly a threat at tracks like these in the Skip Barber. I mean, you remember back to last year at Summit Point for our penultimate race of the season there. But Justin was performing some great moves there defensively on Michael Chrobok that unfortunately meant that Michael was not able to come away with the position I'm sure he would have liked. So well, Justin was able to get the defense working there, and he's going to try to make the magic happen once again tonight, I'm sure. See if the lights on the pace car come off as he crosses the start-finish line. They do indeed, so we're going to go green this next time by to begin lap 16 for round 4 of the Karts Computers Racing Series Season 2 here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Maybe we'll go through our field one more time today. Actually, before we do that, let me just throw up your positions gained or lost throughout the race tonight, just so you guys have context for who has moved up and who has moved down as far as they have throughout the course of our race since qualifying. Maybe we'll throw up here the drivers as well. Maybe we'll go through them and see exactly how many positions they've gained or lost. Logan Pacza, of course, started on the pole here and has not lost any positions. He still remains your race leader. After that, Michael Chrobok, of course, sitting in the second position. Same position. He started on the outside of row 1 and now remains there in second position. But again, Justin Lewick putting some heavy pressure on him at the moment. And Max Preston, the position behind, was doing the same a moment ago. So the two drivers there definitely with precedent to move up there and pass the 3 car of Michael Chrobok if they're able to get some momentum going. Of course, I just mentioned him there, Justin Lewick rounding out the top 3, moving up 2 positions from 5th a moment ago, as well as Max Preston, the other driver who started on row 2 in qualifying there. Devin Crosby started in 4th and has moved back 1 position. Involved in an incident a moment ago there with both Logan Ferguson and Jordan West, but he has managed to get his damage fixed and head back out onto the track. After that, Rich Foligno's sitting there in 6th position, moved up 2 from 8th. Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, again, happy Father's Day to him, has moved up 2 positions from 9th all the way up to 7th. Manuel Guerra, our biggest mover of the race, has moved from 13th, the final driver in the field in qualifying, all the way up to 8th on the lead lap. Quite impressive performance from him today. Andrew Bedrosian sitting there in 9th. We remember he had the incident a moment ago. That means he's still in the lead lap, but he has some work to do if he wants to gain some positions and get some meaningful points tonight for Wadpeta Motorsports Orange. John Garris sitting there in 10th has moved up from, again, the... I guess he would have been the last place spot in the field because they are considering me as part of the field that had drivers move up past him. But again, I was not participating in tonight's race, so that is not the case. And after that, Marco Felice losing 1 position as a result of his incident, and Jordan West losing 5 as a result of the incident a moment ago with Marco Felice. So, well, we are getting ready to head back to green here. We're going to come through the final time through corner 9 before we get going green here. Now we get ready to head through corner 10. The pace car is going to take the right-hander. I finally got a chance to fix that. Logan almost faked a pit stop there that time, but green flag, here he goes. Gets a pretty good jump actually that time. Kind of a tricky maneuver there if that was intentional, but kind of fooled the field a little bit. Now he's going to head down into corner 1 in an attempt to once again defend Michael Chrobok, who's got a pretty good run going there through corner 1. I know he would have had the slipstream there down the front stretch, but he made it work for sure. Somebody back in the field has spun around once again. Is that Jordan West? Once again with huge damage. Not sure who else is involved. Nobody else in the back has damage, so again, if it's a solo incident, it's hard to throw a caution for it, especially before the start-finish line. But if the drivers get all the way around before he's able to make it off the track, then may need to throw in there for that. But again, always gonna probably throw a double file before a single, or a double driver incident before a single driver incident. So looking around the field, Justin Lewis and Max Preston in a battle for second, actually, or for the second of the 2 battles there, for 3rd and 4th. 2 teammates there embroiled in one of their many battles this season. They've had some good contests and some good brawls throughout the course of our 3 races this year. Jordan West still sitting there on the front stretch. As of yet, has not quite moved. Michael's going to head to the outside of Logan Pacza in an attempt to make a pass for the lead here. Down into that long sweeping right-hander that we've had multiple incidents in today. Let's see if he's able to make the move. Going to go to our chopper camera just to see if he's able to clear him. He has not as of yet. Jordan West is still on the track. He is still there. We're going to need to throw a caution there if he's... Let's see if we'll at least give Logan the time to try to defend from Michael, and then Michael's able to make the pass, and for the first time all day he becomes the leader. Jordan, I think, is still off the racing line, so are they going to be able to pass him without incident? They do appear to. Michael loses the back end a little bit. West is sitting on the track. We're going to need to call a caution here. But kind of an unfortunate timing for sure. Well, sorry about the kind of minor confusion there, ladies and gentlemen. I said in the pre-race that if I was going to be throwing cautions tonight, that the rule was that multi-car incidents would take precedence over, or priority over single-car incidents. And well, with a few cautions tonight, I was trying to avoid it as best I can, but with Jordan West sitting just off the racing line, kind of had no choice but to throw one. This is before we went green on our last caution restart here. You see the cars, I think at this point, are up to green. Let's or up to speed here. He tries to enter the pits, just way overcooks it. Not sure exactly what happened there, then took huge damage and coasted off the racing line. Would have been fine, but there was debris and he was sitting just off the track surface, so it was necessary to throw a caution. Kind of an odd incident there for sure, and tries to get the car up to speed but is unable to. And now Jordan West sits in the pits for the 2nd time today, looking for his 2nd quick repair to go down. Not a great start to the race for him, unfortunately, but actually quite effective one for Logan Ferguson, who I think will gain some positions here as a result. Sitting here at lap 17, almost halfway through our race, and as of yet, still nobody has come into the pits. So, sorry, at least none of our lead drivers, that is. Nobody towards the front of the field. Let's just check our pit stop number for everybody to see if maybe I'm wrong. Then one of the leaders did get a stop in here or there. Devin Crosby, Rich Foligno, and Andrew Bedrosian all taking a stop each. Bedrosian's was, of course, because of damage. I think the same with Devin Crosby. I don't remember if Rich Foligno had an incident that required him to fix damage, but, well, I have been wrong in the past, so... yeah, who knows, but Now the top 5 become Michael Chrobok taking the pass on Logan Pacza there just a moment ago. He will get the bonus point for leading a lap there that time by. After that, Max Preston, Justin Luke, the 2 teammates in 3rd and 4th, and Devin Crosby running at the top 5 in 5th. With that, I'm going to go to another side-by-side break once again. Got to get some water in me, as is the case with all of these broadcasts, and we'll be back in a moment. We are going to go on board with Michael Chrobok for the time being, but we will be back in a moment with round 4 of the Karts Computers Racing Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back with round 4 of the 2020 Karts Computers Racing Series Season 2. Riding on board currently with your race leader, Michael Chrobok, making the pass just a moment ago in this exact spot on the track from Logan Pacza, making a beautiful move around the outside, sent them side by side up here into corner 9, where he was able to make the pass on the inside right before the caution was thrown for Jordan West's incident on the first lap of our current stint. Well, I mean, we've had a pretty, I wouldn't say, maybe not hectic, but we've certainly had a chaotic first few laps of tonight's race, or at least the first kind of 40% we've gone through here. Logan Ferguson will come into the pits there from 13th position. Again, he does have damage from an earlier incident that I'd imagine he would have fixed, but maybe if he's trying to make a fuel cycle or something, he would pit at this point in the race. Looking throughout the field, maybe we'll just head back to a better camera angle. But yeah, Michael Chrobok will now become your race leader once again. Logan Pacza sitting behind him, who led, I think, all but 2 laps at this point of the race so far. He has kind of been the number 1 guy to beat all day, and Michael making a pass through the long backstretch thanks to a slipstream means that, I mean, for his confidence level, he's got to think that he's still got a very good shot today, because at the end of the day, he has managed to currently avoid any incidents whatsoever, because, sitting at the front, you don't really have to worry about stuff like that. So all that's happened is he's seen Michael Chrobok make a pass on him thanks to a great slipstream, so he knows that he's not necessarily quicker in the corners, but I know Michael Chrobok, seeing as I think he ran a faster lap in warm-up, Michael does certainly have the potential to run one of the quickest laps of the day, if not the quickest race of the day overall, and he's able to get his second of the win of the season. But we're going to throw up the timing tower one more time again. But yeah, looking back in the field a little bit, of course, Max Preston sitting in 3rd position. Maybe I'll talk about him a little bit. But Max is a first-time driver this season. He's one of our, I think, our 2 rookies, technically. I mean, Andrew Bedrosian ran our final race of the season last season, so I guess technically Max becomes the only rookie in our field this year, and he's had a great start to the season. I mean, if you talk about our first race at Talladega there, I know we unfortunately had some little bit too much damage to finish the race there. I mean, he finished in 8th after I think the second to last crash of that race. I mean, it was a very crash-filled race for sure, so he wasn't able to make it out alive of that, but we went to Watkins Glen the next week, and I think he finished in 4th position in that race, just narrowly getting beaten out by Andrew Bedrosian, also a fairly new driver to our series. But Max runs very well in practice and warm-up. He just hasn't quite been able to translate it over to race positions, just as a result of often getting caught in incidents that aren't his fault at all. I think he ran pretty well at our race at Charlotte on Friday too, but tonight sitting there in 3rd position, this could be his chance to prove something to all the fans there at home that he is a guy that can definitely compete for some wins this season, and I'd imagine, based on what I've seen in practice, that is no doubt the case. But now Michael Chrobok will take us to his first green flag start of the race, the 4th green flag start overall, green, 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 here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The pace car you see heading off into pit road, so Michael will now control the field. Coming across the start-finish line here, down into corner 1, getting a pretty good jump there on Logan Pacza, certainly better than I think Pacza got on him for any of those restarts, but now that means Logan's going to have a great slipstream down here through corners 1 and 2. Looking back in the field a little bit, seeing if there's any incidents so far, but don't appear to be, so going pretty clean through the start of this lap, which is always a good thing when you want to see some green flag action. Lap 20 does, of course, begin, so we are now 40% of the way through our race. Coming here through corner 3, Logan still has yet to kind of pull out a line to try to make a move just a little bit too far back. Max Preston's going to take a little bit of an inside line there in the corner, and Might even have a run that could make him make the pass on Logan Pacza if he's able to through the hairpin here. Now just a little bit too far back. Logan is the master of these corner exits. He always seems to get great momentum through these corners and these sections. Even watching him in practice, but he goes a little bit too wide in the hairpin there. That's going to give a chance for Michael Chrobok to get about a half car length and Preston to maybe make up some room there. But again, you see just those runs off the corners coming in through the hairpin there. Some huge momentum for Logan Pacza. They're going to go side by side here. Again, we're going to go to our chopper camera. They're going to go side by side up the hill through corner. I think this is 6 or 7. Will you be able to make it all the way around? That's the question, because it's much more difficult to pass here on the outside in the sweeper. No, Michael's getting some momentum back, though, now that Logan pulled out of the draft. And now Max is in the draft of Michael as well. So certainly Logan's getting a huge run. He's going to have to check up or throw it to the inside. Not the ideal corner angle. He wanted to take it all. Michael with a nice defensive move just to kind of slide the back end up in front of his nose and prevent him from making anything happen there. Now the top 3 all separated. You can probably almost put a blanket over the top 3. They have gotten closer and closer as this lap has progressed. Now we get through a full green flag lap, which at this point is always good to see. So the top 3, Preston's sitting back there a little bit, but Justin Lewick against Devin Crosby is kind of our other major battle on track there for 4th position. Justin Lewick, of course, his teammate Max Preston up there for 3rd would provide a great slipstream if he was able, but for the time being, he has not been able to. Coming around through corner 3 here, the top 3 still separated by a very little margin. Same with the guys in 4th and 5th there as Lewick tries to run away from Devin Crosby thanks to the slipstream from Preston, but Preston almost went side by side there with Pacza down as we come into corner 4, heading towards the hairpin one more time. Or, well, no, I guess I should say once again, one more time. We have 29 laps to go, but again, coming up through the hairpin, as I mentioned, Preston getting right up to his back bumper there on Pacza, but doesn't quite seem to get the exit to the corner that Pacza does, and it allows Pacza to suck right up to the back of Chrobok's car and get a perfect slipstream down the straightaway. But I mean, the way that Preston's taking it is a little bit too far back in order to get one as they come up the hill here. Side by side now goes Devin Crosby and Justin Lewick a little bit further back in the field. Same with Pacza and Chrobok. We're going to go through 2 sets of chopper cams here. Logan gets the angle on Chrobok. Is he going to be able to clear him? Not quite. Can't quite cut down from there. Chrobok's going to head to the inside, almost making contact there. We have never seen these two get in an incident in any races in our series, but they are running really close quarters battles here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So, well, with the Skip Barbie, you got to take any single piece of track you can in order to make the passes, because you don't have a ton of momentum that allows you to make moves in cars that don't run quite as quickly as others we've run this season. So it's much harder to just throw the car underneath somebody else to make a move. Rich Foligno and Marshall Crocker Sr. appear to... Oh, there's a huge crash back in the field. Going to go to a caution this time by. Well, we return here to, I believe, our 5th caution of the day here at Mosport. We're on board with Marshall Crocker Sr., my father. I believe getting in a incident a moment ago with Marco Felice. That's his new teammate. It is indeed. Marco just absolutely wallops the back of his car. Crocker gets to the middle of the track, and was that Ferguson that he made contact with there? Gary's coming up the road. There's Manuel Gary there a little bit back. Where is Logan Ferguson when all this is happening? Ferguson, he was the car that headed up into the barrier there. I saw a car when my dad came into the pits from that one camera angle that seemed to suggest that there was a car sideways in the barrier, but it kind of blended in, and I thought that couldn't be the case. But see, he gets the back end there. Ferguson loses a tire, snaps it over, and then one of the weirdest crashes I've ever seen. Look at the nose cone rotating around in that. Can we get it one more time? We're just going to one more camera view of that, because that is one of the wonkiest crashes I've ever seen. Let's just go to a rear view on that and see exactly what happened. So Ferguson makes contact, loses the back tire, flips, complete nose up in the air, kind of ollies the car, and the nose is like spinning around in circles. The car comes back together apparently there, but well, you can certainly not drive a car away in a condition like that when it is sitting diagonal on the side of a wall. So Ferguson missing a tire. Hopefully he's still got a quick repair left, but well, Logan Pacza was able to make the pass there, and he will now reform behind the pace car. So Logan becomes your leader for the, well, I guess the 2nd time today. He kind of led the entire first portion of the race here. So Michael made the pass there for a few laps and defended the backstretch one time, but Well, unfortunately, he was not able to do it twice. Pacza was able to time his run well enough that he was able to keep the move all the way going down into corner 8, and as you can see, becomes your new race leader tonight. So, once again, we're going to look quickly at the YouTube chat. Seems to be a pretty good response to the racing so far. Again, once we finally get some green flag laps going in tonight's race, it can be some pretty good action here. Kind of reminiscent of Spa, I think, in the way the track's designed, and where there's several long straights that can allow for some good passing opportunities. But, well, of course, there is not quite as many trees getting in the way of my camera, which is nice, and a little bit simpler of a layout, of course. I mean, Spa, one of the most difficult tracks in any discipline, so not necessarily comparable to Mosport, but Mosport's not an easy track either. Coming to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, there are certainly easier tracks out there than this one. So, I mean, as we've seen tonight, it can be difficult in some corners to try to go too wide, which you can't say for every single road course. I mean, some that come to mind are Summit Point was pretty forgiving with that last season. Those of you that remember running at the Jefferson circuit last year. Laguna Seca isn't great. That wouldn't be one I'd say is necessarily easy to go too wide in. I mean, those of you that remember that race will remember just how difficult and tricky that track really was. Actually, going back there later this season for round 13 of our 2020 Karts Peters Racing Series Season 2 schedule. Going there in the IndyCar Series, actually. We're going there in the IndyCars we ran for, what was our IndyCar road course? Watkins Glen. So kind of a similar format to that. That'll be an exciting race for sure. Certainly one of the most tricky of the season, but that race actually opens our 3-race final playoff to determine a champion this year, so that would be one that definitely be worth watching for sure. So Michael Chrobok's going to head into the pits this time. Pacza decides not to. This is lap 23, still has yet to have to pit. I would assume partly because, of course, really nobody's run that many laps. I cannot get a good camera on Michael to save my life. There we go. So Michael Chrobok comes into the pits this time by. Andrew Bedrosian does as well. Manuel Guerra coming into the pits, Rich Foligno coming into the pits, and John Guerra, the other Diabolique Motorsports car aside from Manuel Guerra, will also pit this time by. Elsewhere in the field, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, has repaired his damage and will move all the way up to 5th in this next upcoming restart. He will file into the line behind Devin Crosby. And of course, that pit stop does allow Max Preston and Justin Lewick to move up into 2nd and 3rd position respectively. Let's just check on the pit stop numbers for each driver and see if they have pitted yet. So, no, the top 3 of Pacza, Preston, and Lewick have all not pitted yet. We're sitting on lap 24, almost halfway through the race, which would seem to indicate this race would become a 1-stopper, which, well, to my understanding, it was going to be a 2-stopper no matter what, but apparently that was not a sentiment agreed upon by the entire field, as I guess thanks to the cautions. Running as many caution laps as we have when under half power certainly wouldn't burn up as much fuel as you'd expect on any other lap, so, well, looking at the track map there, looks like everybody's up to speed and out of the pits, so we still currently have 12 cars left in the race. I would imagine Jordan West is possibly out. I mean, 9 laps down, he's still in the pits. Maybe it's just because of a towing thing, but he does appear to still be in the session, so not quite sure what the case is there for him. Logan Ferguson as well, who was 7 laps down, but has managed to rejoin the field, so again, he would, I think he made the pass on Jordan West as well as a result of just running laps, even if it wasn't for a position, of course, but trying to run laps, make passes on guys getting in incidents. It's never going to hurt to try to stay out there as long as you can, and luckily for the sake of Logan Motorsports, Logan Pacza is leading the field, so from a team standings perspective, not going to hurt whatsoever to have, one of your drivers being the leader of our race currently. Of course, Logan has won the last 2 races of our season, both at Watkins Glen and Charlotte last week, respectively. I guess Charlotte on Friday night. But overall, I mean, Charlotte, I think, at the beginning went through a very similar phase to this one. Had quite a few cautions, and then once we got into green flag racing for longer stints of time, then we were able to get some great racing out of it. So green flag racing is about to be what we get once again in a moment. The pace car will take the hard right on to pit road, and Logan Pacza will take the field to green for his 4th time today. Coming through the final corner there with Max Preston and Justin Lewick tailing him. Green flag as he crosses the start-finish line there under the flag stand for lap, I believe, 25 of tonight's race. Now sitting at the halfway point here. Looking around the field again to see if we have any drivers in incidents or anything of the sort. Don't appear to be. There's a car off track somewhere. Is that Justin Lewick? I didn't even see that. He was sitting in 3rd a moment ago. He has damage, but nothing. I don't think that he can get back to pit road. Again, it's a single incident, but can't throw a caution on just one driver. Not exactly sure what happened there. His teammate is running in completely fine condition, but If Justin's able to get it back to the pits, he'll be okay, but for the time being, he might lose a lap unless there is another caution. Again, it's a solo incident, so can't quite throw one for that. Max Preston coming around the hairpin, actually, this time. He's starting to get a pretty good run going up there to Logan Pacza. These two, I don't think I've seen have a battle all year. Watkins Glen, they were both running pretty quick, but I believe they haven't, as of yet, had a realistic battle for position in a race, so further back in the field a little bit. Doesn't look like Preston's going to come close enough this time to make a move, but Marshall Crocker Sr. and Michael Chrobok battle in there for 5th position. Of course, Michael on new tires, which, well, at most tracks that would be an advantage. It's actually an active disadvantage here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. All the cars running up there through the Mario Andretti straightaway. Michael's going to make the pass here. Marshall almost lets him by completely clean, so Michael will make the move and get the car length on him, so pretty clean move there in corner 9. Doesn't look like anything will result from that, at least nothing negative. But Logan Pacza, Max Preston, and Devin Crosby will be your top 3 coming around this time by. You can see on the track map there, Justin Lewick, who still has some level of damage. Nothing appears to be crazy. He is running diagonally, I should say. But hopefully he's able to pit pretty quick and get it back out before he loses a lap. Still trying to drive the car sideways. This is a noble attempt for Justin if he's able to make it all the way around. Again, as a solo incident, ladies and gentlemen, I did tell the drivers that if it were an incident of that scenario and they were able to get the car back to the pits in a solo matter, that I would withhold throwing the caution. And again, as we've had 5 and 25 laps, you never want to throw too many. So, well, Lewick appears to be able to get it all the way back to the pits for the time being. So, hopefully his race will be able to continue without too much issue. But Logan Pacza will now start to enter down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Justin's about to enter the pits there, so should have the time he needs in order to make something happen. Somebody back in the field, Michael Chrobok, I think. Andrew Bedrosian's losing positions. Did Andrew get in an incident? Where is Michael on track? Michael's okay. It looked like he was, I don't know, it looked like he lost a ton of ground there all of a sudden. Rich Foligno, Andrew Bedrosian for 7th and 8th. Crocker Sr. is up to speed. No, nothing I can see. There are like small incidents that don't look major enough for to call anything of it, but back to the front after that brief moment of chaos there. Max Preston sitting about 7/10 back of Logan Pacza, your race leader at the moment. Again, neither of these drivers have pitted so far, so they would be on tires in very good condition for these Skip Barber Racing Series cars. Of course, the more laps you run, the better your tires get. Justin Lewick still remains in the pits, actually just starting to exit right now, I believe. Nope, never mind, sorry, he's still there at pit exit now, so I think he will lose a lap, but he won't be too far behind that he won't be able to make it up, at least not if he's able to run pretty quickly. But down the hill goes Logan Pacza with Preston and Crosby right behind. Well, I shouldn't say right behind, actually. Logan's starting to get a pretty good run away from the 2 guys behind him. Preston's running pretty quick in warm-up, but certainly nowhere near the consistency and the quick laps of Logan Pacza. Just checking the chat, there should be a bonus point, or there should be bonus points for most spectacular crash. I absolutely agree. It's just I honestly don't know who I would crown with that award tonight. There have been some truly impressive ones there. I think Logan Ferguson's against the wall thing from a moment ago would take the cake. But speaking of Logan Ferguson just darts off the track. I'm honestly not sure what happened there. Doesn't appear to have damage, but his teammate Logan Pacza was coming up on him as he went by. So I'm wondering if that was the case. He just tried to give him some room to let him by and get his teammate to get the position on him, and then chaos unfolded there for a moment. But Andrew Bedrosian now making the pass on Rich Foligno here, coming down through the long backstretch there through corner 7. Makes the move on Foligno without really too much opposition there from Foligno. Didn't really seem to try to defend, just gave him the inside line and let him by. And honestly, sometimes that might just be the right move. Not every time do you need to throw up a huge defensive maneuver in order to retain a position if you know you can get it back that same lap. So sometimes it's more important for you and the guy you're driving with to keep pace up to the guy in front of you rather than it is to keep your position. So again, important to mention, Justin Lewick has returned to the track in 9th position. He is a lap down, but you know, you can never write off the fact that drivers may get their laps back. Actually, he's pitted for fuel now, so if we were to get a caution, he might be okay. And if he's able to make passes on the guys that have to pit, and then, of course, pass his way through the field at that point. But currently, Max Preston's still trying to defend from Devin Crosby. The two are starting to fall back corner after corner. I mean, of course, driving with another driver is going to take all the momentum you have and will refocus it to trying to defend from the guy behind you rather than trying to catch up to the guy ahead. That guy ahead, of course, in this case being Logan Pacza, your race leader. But Max Preston got a pretty good run there through the hairpin onto the backstretch that time by. So Not exactly running away from the two drivers behind him is Logan Pacza. Further back in the field, Andrew Bedrosian is starting to pull away from Rich Foligno. Michael Chrobok starting to pull away from the two of them. You see down the hill that light blue car of Michael Chrobok. And then I think the lapped car of Justin Lewick is driving around in his territory. So elsewhere in the field, Jordan West has returned to the track, which is good to see. So all 13 drivers that entered tonight's race will return to the track, but they go side by side this time by. I didn't even recognize that Devin had that good of a run. Devin will make it by on the backstretch there on the exit into corner 9 and 10. Now as they come through corner 10, Devin Crosby is actually starting to catch Logan in these few corners. Getting below 9/10 there for a second, but now starting to fall back. So Max Preston will give up the position to third. Will give up his position in second to move to third, I should say. So Devin Crosby will now slot in to second in tonight's race. Looking around the field a little bit. Can't see any too close battles for track position at the moment. Important to note that Michael Chrobok is actually losing ground lap by lap a little bit, which seems kind of startling because he's run pretty equal laps with Logan most of the day when it came to practice and warm-up. So I'd be surprised that he'd be moving back that quick. But I guess when you think about that, he does have fairly newer tires, which again, as I note, are typically more of an advantage than a disadvantage. But tonight, new tires in the Skip Barber series are always a disadvantage. So that may attribute to some of the reason he is losing ground. But losing ground is certainly not a thing that the guys behind Logan Pacza are doing right now. And there's the trees. I knew it was only a matter of time before we'd get an angle that would give us the lovely views of the shrubbery that make my life broadcasting so hard. Marco Fleece somewhere in the field. It claimed just went off track. Not exactly sure where he has. So he's bounced off into the off-road there. Cars coming up on him as we speak. Let's just get a quick replay on what exactly happened to him. Come through the hairpin here. He's already off pace. Not sure why he's running so slowly. Andrew Bedrosian tries to go around him. Just flings it off into the wall. Whoa! Quite the jump there for him. Managed to keep it on the track, though. Still running off the pace. Not exactly sure why. Logan Pacza comes into the pits this time by, so as well does Max Preston. So Devin Crosby becomes your solo race leader. Quickly throw up the pit stop tracker graphic just to see if Crosby has pitted at some point in tonight's race. He has. So Devin Crosby has pitted. Maybe we'll throw up the more detailed pit strategy graphic here for a moment. But Devin Crosby, yeah, he pitted on lap 4, so technically he hasn't really pitted. I mean, if you pit around lap 25, you can almost go to the finish there. So now Pacza and Preston will be good on fuel to the end of the race, at least as far as I'm aware. I know that to this point they've had a lot of cautions that would definitely help with fuel conservation, but I mean, you'd think that... Oh, Marco Fleece, again, somewhere in the field, it's telling me has crashed. Not sure where he is. It's just showing me a building. Marco has damage again. He's almost in the pits, so I'm honestly just going to let him try to coast in there. Appears to be able to make it back under his own power. So, well, elsewhere in the field, that means that Devin Crosby is just kind of smooth sailing for first position. He's got 10 seconds to Michael Chrobok, his good friend and partial teammate there in second position. So Devin Crosby now has pretty confident control of this entire race. But again, nothing here in the Karts to Computers Racing Series is over till it's over. So, I mean, we talked about it last week at Charlotte. I thought I could pretty much all but guarantee you who was going to win that race. At a certain point, I thought it was Rich Foligno. Then I thought it was Josh Gallagher, but Logan Pacza did win that race. So again, never counting anybody out. And in this case, I'm by no means counting Logan out either, because we have so much race to go. I mean, 30 laps here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is a lot longer than at Charlotte. So this thing, once Devin Crosby has to pit, will become a lot more interesting. But for the time being, it's just kind of a parade here between the top really 5 drivers. Kind of midfield there, you see Andrew Bedrosian, who is sort of going to need to defend from Rich Foligno if he's able to make some room up on him. But for the time being now, he's really just trying to chase down Michael Chrobok ahead of him. Maybe we'll put up the battle box here, something we try to do every once in a while, but unfortunately, usually when I'm in a battle, I'm too focused on trying to call it rather than trying to put up a good graphic for it. The battle box decides not to come up this time. That a little better? No. Huh. Well, apparently the battle box doesn't want to cooperate tonight. Maybe it's just because the little pit stop banner there at the bottom is conflicting with it. But again, looking around in the field a little bit, Logan Pacza has re-entered the track with Max Preston about 6 seconds back of him. So Preston lost about 3 seconds on the outlap, which is quite a surprising amount for sure. I mean, Logan is very good at pit in and pit out kind of things. But important to note as well, Justin Lewick, look at where he is on track. We'll throw up our pit strategy graphic one more time. I want to check when exactly he pitted. That is not showing me. If we had more drivers. Huh, okay, well, not quite sure when exactly Justin Luke did pit, but if you look where he is on track, he is trying to run away from Michael Chrobok behind him. And if he's able to catch up to Devin Crosby and get his lap back, and then we had a caution, well, he might actually be in pretty good condition going forward in tonight's race. So, I mean, you talk about the incident before that, again, because of the fact that he was able to get it back to pit road, was not called a caution. He's kind of in a bit of a hole, but well, depending on how he's able to treat the rest of this race, he might be able to get some good positions out of it. And if he gets a caution, make some great passes, maybe even go for the win. So, again, as I mentioned, you can never count anybody out in this series, and I made that mistake last race, and I won't make it again. So, again, trying to look around the field a little bit and see if there indeed is any action. Manuel Guerra has just been passed by Max Preston for position, so that one was pretty quick. Must have made just a great move there on the backstretch because he just flew by him on the timing tower. So Max Preston will indeed move up to 7th position. Already starting to make moves there now that he has pitted alongside Logan Pacza, so depends on how quick Devin and himself run in terms of lap times compared to each other, because I think technically on track, once they factor out of the pits there, they would become the battle for 2nd place. Michael Chrobok, of course, would throw his name into the hat for that battle, but he is now 11 seconds back at Devin Crosby, who pitted lap 4, and Michael pitted a lot more recently. So I guess technically Michael's in a much better position pit-wise than Crosby is, so I'm not quite sure yet what the outcome of that is going to be. I think Crosby could make it to the end on field if he were to pit right now, so again, pit strategy is unpredictable for sure as Devin comes into the pits this time by. Speaking of, good timing there from him. Thanks, Devin. So Devin will head into the pits this time by your race leader, meaning that Michael Chrobok should become your new race leader, provided he doesn't pit this time by, which I doubt he would do. Yep, you see he's going to avoid the pits there with Andrew Bedrosian chasing him down lap after lap. He's starting to catch up to him more and more every time I check, so try to throw up the lap time thing one more time. There we go. Finally a graphic that decides to work, but you see there, Bedrosian making up about 8 tenths for quite a few. So 3 tenths, 6 tenths, 8 tenths, and 6 tenths again on Chrobok every lap. So great lap times being put down by Andrew Bedrosian right now. He's catching your current race leader, Michael Chrobok, quickly. But Devin Crosby will remain in the pits. I think he'll probably drop all the way down to maybe 8th position. Justin Luke should be able to make Max Preston should be able to make the pass on him, but would that mean Justin Luke would get his lap back? So good work there, Justin. He was in a bad position there after the incident he had maybe 10 laps ago, but he has made a comeback here, and as he comes through the hairpin, he is now on the lead lap again. So if there were a caution, he would be right back in business. Hopefully his effort is able to pay off, but again, I would never wish a caution on anybody, so for the time being, we remain clean, and if this battle for the lead is able to escalate, that might not remain the case for much longer. Andrew Bedrosian getting a huge slipstream down the straightaway here. I would advise all of you to check the timing tower here just to see how good of a run he gets down through the Mario Andretti straightaway. Currently gaining about a tenth every 2 seconds. He is making huge headway here. Bedrosian's going to head to the outside. We're going to go to our chopper camera once again and check on that move. Didn't even have time. Just headed straight around him. Andrew Bedrosian becomes your new race leader, I think, for the first time all race. So if he's able to make it to the line ahead of Chrobok, he would get the traditional, I should say, bonus point for, of course, leading a lap throughout the course of the race. Leading the most laps, the bonus point for that would currently obviously go to Logan Pacza, who had a large majority of the beginning of our race. But Andrew will make the pass for the lead, but now Michael's going to start to battle back. I mean, I'm wondering if Michael's kind of started to lax off a little bit, knowing that if he were able to wait for his Logan Pacza Motorsports teammate, he'd at least have a drafting buddy through most of the major straightaways, and that appears to be working for the time being as Bedrosian has become your new race leader, and now finally Chrobok has some help in terms of making up room throughout the field. Speaking of Logan Pacza Motorsports drivers, I've talked about him very little all day, but Rich Foligno, after getting slightly involved in our corner 1 incident earlier in the race, has made up some great time, and now he's only 2.5 seconds back of the race lead. Of course, that might just be what's the term I'm looking for? It might just be temporary because, of course, Logan Pacza is based on pit strategy and pit cycles. I think technically still your race leader, but provisionally your current third place driver is Rich Foligno, and again, what a performance for him today. The other guy that's similar to Luke had kind of a tough situation at the beginning, but he's battled back, and now he's trying to catch up to his 2 teammates up ahead, maybe see if he can get in that drafting train with them. Of course, always the thing you want if you're teammates is to try to have somebody up there to draft with, and you know, it benefits the group as a whole. So you kind of got to, I know they're on driver chat quite a bit, that team specifically. So all the Lad Pedal Motorsports guys are probably trying to coordinate something as we speak. An advantage that Logan Pacza I don't think would quite so much have. I know some guys, if they know that they're on teams with maybe not driver chats elsewhere from iRacing, they try to coordinate stuff between themselves. I'd imagine some of Logan Pacza's Prime Motorsports teammates would try to maybe help him out if they were able, but currently Logan sits coming through the backstretch there in a corner. Is that corner 8 there as he comes through there on the track map? That's the number 5 car with the gray bubble there. But currently the top 2 still remain Bedrosian, Chrobok with Flino in 3rd, who made up about 7/10 that last lap by. Actually going to go to Michael Chrobok and check the lap time graphic just to see compared to Rich Flino. Flino's catching him by almost a full 1.5 seconds the last 2 there before this lap, where he only gained about 9/10. So 3.5 tenths in 3 laps. Not a bad margin whatsoever. Still attempting to make headway up through the field, but Chrobok is getting closer and closer in this specific section. Usually he's not anywhere near this close until they get to the backstretch, but I'm also wondering if they're kind of waiting for Rich Flino, trying to get him involved in that, as I called it before, the draft train between the top 3. Important to note, elsewhere in the field, Marshall Crocker Sr., my father, is moved into the 9-second range from the leader there, Andrew Bedrosian. So definitely the drivers behind that are trying to gain some time on the leaders here are doing so. So hopefully this draft train, if you're a fan of any of the Lad Pedal Motorsports guys, is what you want to see, because I mean, Flino, Chrobok, and Bedrosian working together is the best thing right now. Flino's going to head by Chrobok, and now he's going to head by Bedrosian. Huge run there. I would assume that would be coordinated. That was kind of a team order if I had to guess, but that looked a little bit too comically unconventional to be, I think, just a traditional pass. He had a huge run there, so looks like the Lad Pedal Motorsports guys have something up their sleeve that they're trying to get going. Maybe they're trying to make it to the end on fuel, and their plan is that if they know that Rich Flino maybe has the most fuel out of anybody in the group, then he'll go to the front and sacrifice the draft in front of him, which will lose him fuel per lap. And we'll sacrifice that in favor of trying to help the guys behind him, which would be a pretty noble effort if you were able to make it work. So the top 3 there will form into that drafting train you see there between the 2 Lad Pedal Motorsports blue teammates of Flino and Chrobok, sitting in 1st and 3rd respectively. And actually, that drafting train theory may be going out the window, because Flino is pulling away. He's just heading up the hill into the hairpin with a full head of steam there, about 7/10 ahead of Bedrosian now. Bedrosian and Chrobok almost went 2 abreast there through corner 3, but thought better of it. One of the Guerras, that's John Guerra, will come into the pits this time by, meaning that Manuel Guerra will make the pass on him, and will not make the pass for position, I should say, but as you can see on the track map, Guerra will head in, which should mean that he's good to the end of the race. Bedrosian heads to the outside there. Bedrosian goes around, so Bedrosian, really, I talked about being one of the most consistent guys in the series, Captain Consistency 2.0 after Sam McEachran from last year. He just went around. He's about to lose a position to Marshall Crocker Sr. Going to go side by side, look at the chopper cam, but not quite sure the momentum my dad will have down the straightaway, but he manages to get him for the time being. Will the draft be able to go the other way, and will Bedrosian be able to make the pass into the long sweeping corner 8? Doesn't appear to be able to for the time being, so nothing as of yet. Is he going to chuck it to the inside, or is my dad going to defend? He doesn't appear to, but Bedrosian's going to slide way hard on the inside. Blows it up and makes the corner, and now he's going to head into 9 scot-free. Nice move there by Bedrosian. He headed in there with some power and made it work, so he makes the pass back to 3rd position. I'm honestly not sure what happened there. Rich Flino, again, still your leader, and Michael is now getting the opportunity to go chase him, but a little bit far back to go check the replay. You know what? Why not? I haven't used the replay banner in ages. We're going to go check the replay here, and when we come back, we'll see where exactly Bedrosian sits on track. And here, for those of you wondering, is the replay of that last incident there with Andrew Bedrosian heading onto the backstretch, wondering exactly what happened to our former 2nd place driver here. See him heading up into the hairpin with Michael Chrobok right behind him. This is the back end a little bit, and yeah, just doesn't seem to be able to correct it. I think he clipped the curb there when it ended on the that outside curb on the hairpin. Right when it ended, it kind of bopped up the back tire there and sent him around, spinning wide into the outside of turn 5. So he is back up to speed, but Flino and Chrobok have once again formed that drafting train. The 2 of teammates, of course, at Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue. So when it comes to the team standings, you notice that nobody in the top 8 are currently teammates besides Foligno and Chrobok, who are top 2. So big picture in tonight's race. Bedrosian's starting to catch them quite quickly again, though. Since I showed you that replay, he has already gained about a second and a half to the 2 guys in front of him. At this point, I would recommend that they not continue the drafting train if it intentionally means that they have to slow down to let Bedrosian catch up, because, well, first of all, they're the 2 actual teammates that are leading the race in 1 and 2. But besides that, I mean, Bedrosian in 3rd, he's catching him up quickly, but you should never sacrifice the lead you have to Logan Pacza in 5th just to allow somebody to catch up to you, because Logan is catching them about 7 seconds every, like, I think 3 laps. So he is just flying through the field once again. He hasn't had to make any passes either, so he can just focus on his race and focus on doing anything he can to try to get his 3rd race of the season, 3rd in a row. I believe he's only gotten a 3 race in a row streak just once. I don't believe he's ever won 4 in a row in our series. So, well, 3 would tie his all-time record if he were able. But again, you never want to jinx anything in our series, because just because he's quick at the moment doesn't mean that there isn't something up the sleeves of these really our top 4 drivers here. It's both Bedrosian and Chrobok are still trying to catch up to Foligno. Foligno actually had a pretty good lap that time, but he kind of pulled away from Chrobok in the inner loop a little bit. So, well, looking around the field again, 12 laps left to go in tonight's race since we crossed the line. So plenty of race left to go and plenty of positions still up for grabs. But Max Preston, who I'm not sure if he passed Devin Crosby for position or what, but Max Preston is sitting there in 6th, battling with Devin Crosby. So we'll check on him in a moment. But further back in the field, Marshall Crocker Sr. is involved in a battle with Logan Pacza, or at least it was a battle until Pacza sent it under the inside. So my dad has been running pretty quick tonight, but again, when it comes to Logan Pacza sitting on his own on older tires, trying to run the very best lap times he can, there's very few, if anybody, who can stop him without having some shenanigans up their sleeves. And I know my dad's a very clean driver on iRacing, so he's never going to pull anything too insane to keep a position. I'm seeing in my telemetry that Logan Ferguson crashed somewhere on track, but here we are on board with Logan Ferguson, and his car looks notably in one piece, so I would imagine that perhaps a slip-up on the behalf of my software I'm using here. But, well, Pacza now moves within 5 seconds of our race leader, Rich Foligno, I should say. So this battle for the top 2 is going to need to hurry up if they want any chance to avoid Logan Pacza at some point in these final 10 laps. But you see Pacza in the background there in the gray car, and then the red and black car down the hill is Marshall Crocker Sr. But Andrew Bedrosian's that orange and black car right behind the two leaders. You remember he spun around just a few laps ago, lost about 5.5 seconds, but he's made it all back up in just a few laps. So again, this race is going to get really interesting really quick in just a moment. Again, it's still saying that we've had a crash somewhere from Logan Ferguson, but as far as I can tell, he is still running on the track according to the track map. So now Michael's going to head to the inside of Foligno this time. Looks like he is done letting Foligno lead the race. He is now going to take the position back from him. So, well, Michael will make the move. They're going to head down into the sweeping right-hander here. Presumably, Foligno's not going to try anything to the inside, as again they are teammates, and that would be a little bit too aggressive of a move, I would say. So, a little red outline on Ferguson's car seems to indicate that he has damage, but again, I don't think that is the case at the moment. So, Chrobok will head around, and we now have 11 laps to go technically, but we get to lap 40. We're 80% through tonight's race, so almost through the end of tonight's action. Michael Chrobok remains your race leader. Starting to pull away from the guys behind him. It looks like he was really just trying to get the slipstream for the sake of fuel on Rich Foligno, but now that I'm sure on his telemetry he sees just how quickly Logan Pacza is catching him, well, he knows that he needs to hurry if he wants any chance to keep this lead from Logan for himself. So, of course, remember, Michael Chrobok won the very first race of our season this year at Talladega, the completely different race from this one. It could, in terms of both speed and track layout, it could not get much different from that race to this one. So if you're able to win tonight, it would kind of prove his ability in both disciplines, the two very different formats that we run at in this series, I guess in addition to the IndyCar road courses we run. But yeah, looking back in the field, actually, Devin Crosby, I think, just made the move on Max Preston for 6th position. So as the battle for the lead progresses, we'll take a quick break to check out this battle here for 6th. Preston's going to head down to the inside. This time they're going to go side by side, but no, Devin's going to be able to get the full car length ahead of him coming up into the hairpin. And well, now it's Preston's job to try to chase him down in the long backstretch here. Crosby went a little bit too far to the outside, so Preston might have a run here coming up the hill. Of course, Preston there in the red and white car there, kind of the, not quite sure what entry that exactly is. Can't see a sponsor. It might just not even be a custom car at all. But doesn't appear to be, but that Jaguar F1 car there in the green of Devin Crosby, and now has a car who was outside that he's got to defend coming up here into this right-hand sweeper. Surprisingly easy for the car on the outside to pass here tonight. I haven't seen too many battles here in practice, but well, Preston's going to try it again. Does he still have the inside left tire in front of Crosby's back wheel? He technically does, so Crosby's got to give him the line. They're going to head up side by side into 10, but Crosby's able to clear him and take that position from him as well. So now Rich Foligno trying to defend from Bedrosian and Pacza. Logan has made it all the way up to, what is that, a second and a half behind Michael Chrobok for the lead. So Chrobok washes out. Chrobok comes completely off the track. The 5 cars jammed together coming into corner 3. Ferguson heads all the way off the track, but Pacza makes the move for second. What a move by Logan Pacza. Wow. Took perfect advantage of that moment with his teammate Ferguson kind of distracting the driver, shooting off the track there in corner 3. And well, they all bunched up there, and Pacza took the inside line as priority. So the battle for the lead will now reoccur. Chrobok goes all the way off the track. His tires must have been dirty. Foligno heads around as well. Huge damage. That is our 6th caution of the race. Sorry about the chaos there, ladies and gentlemen. I really didn't know what to call any of that as I saw drivers shooting off the track every which way, and it's tough to try to both throw a caution as quick as you can and leave the broadcast. But you see here, so Logan and Andrew coming up the hill, then Michael shoots off, I assume on dirty tires from the moment moment before, but Rich Foligno gets clobbered by Logan Ferguson, who had a small incident the few corners before that made Logan Pacza make the pass on the cars in front of him. So well, you see there, Rich was able to get back up to speed. Even without the caution, he might have been okay, but Rich just got clobbered there by Logan, and Rich went around too when Michael did. So I'm wondering exactly what happened there in that corner that got all of them squirrely here. Let's check that one more time. Maybe we'll go on board with one of the drivers there in the background that would have had a better vantage point on that. Who's that car there in 3rd position? Here, we'll go on board with my dad. He seemed to have a pretty good view of what would have happened. So see, as he's coming down the hill here through corner 4, back up to the hairpin. So you see up there in the background, Chrobok spins around. It's a blind corner, so you don't really know what you're looking at, but you see the car making contact there with Ferguson. Nice move by him to make it all the way around, but maybe we'll see one more time from the perspective of Logan Ferguson, who was the one that made the big contact there with Rich Foligno. Lost a tire and somehow got it back. I don't know what iRacing... Look, he loses a tire, and there it is. So, cool. Thank you, iRacing. I'm not exactly sure why that was warranted, but, well, that will throw a wrench in the plans of Logan Pacza for sure, right as he made the move for the lead. Well, now this race gets a lot more interesting. And additionally, Justin Lewick will get his lap back. So, remember we talked about it earlier. Lewick, who, thanks to waiting out as long as he did, was able to make the move on the cars in front of him and head back onto, well, technically the lead lap, but he got the caution he needed to rebunch with the field. So, good news for him. It's good to see a guy that was putting in the effort there to not back out of the race when he knew he had some adversity, but to still try to fight through and keep it in the race. So, well, we're going to head to our final side-by-side of the day before we go to our final, I think, 6 or maybe even 5 lap stretch to the finish here. So, should be an exciting final battle for the win here. Let's head to commercial for the final time, and we'll be back with round 4 of the 2020 Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And we're back with round 4 of the 2020 Karts and Computers Racing Series Season 2. If ever you are wondering why I am not a professional broadcaster yet, it is because I do things like I did just now and spill water all over my keyboard. So just kind of in the background here, got to fix that because, of course, those of you that know electronics quite well know that water and keyboards do not mix, but My laptop appears to be in good condition, so crisis averted for the time being. But, well, we see the lights on the pace car are indeed off, so as we head through corner 3, getting ready for the final, I hope, green flag start of the race here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I just have some tech stuff to do in the background, so hopefully nothing wonky goes on while I do that. We appear to be okay. Hmm. Oh, somebody in the back. Who was that? Slight problem. I can't get to the program that allows me to check that. Now I can. Who was that in the back? Was that Jordan West that went? No, West is off the track. Who was that? I think it was the 9 car of Jordan West, but I don't know why exactly he went around. Let's check back a moment ago. I thought he was still in the pits, to be honest. No, he got back on. Who? That's Andrew Bedrosian in front of him. Did he make contact with the 22 of Bedrosian? That was bizarre. What happened there? Like, did he check up? I don't think he checked up. I don't want to say he pitted him intentionally, but that was really bizarre. I don't know what to call that. Is Bedrosian up to speed again? He has presumably damage. Yeah, that car of the 22 of Bedrosian does have damage a little bit, so we'll see if that is detrimental to the end of his race. But the pace cars are going to take the hard right onto pit road. We are getting ready to go green here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Logan Pacza will lead the field to green, and hopefully everybody's able to bunch up. But Devin Crosby, the first car behind him, is like a second and a half back. So Michael Chrobok must have pitted there under that caution period. So, well, now Michael will look to move up some positions to try to get back through the field. But Justin Luke has moved up to 4th thanks to that caution. Ferguson almost completely wiped out there. Not exactly sure what happened to him. But now we ride on board there with the number 1 car of Logan Pacza, fittingly as he is the current season champion. So it's Devin Crosby after that. Max Preston there in the red and white car to the outside of Justin Lulick. The 2 MJ Motorsports teammates are going to go side by side. Lulick makes the pass to his inside. Now has just Devin Crosby in front of him. Lulick is on a tear here. He's moved up 5 positions and I think barely 2 laps. Marshall Crocker and Rich Foligno appear to be in the pits. I'm not sure if I'm missing. Devin Crosby's off the track. Completely goes off in the same spot several other drivers have. I'm not sure what the problem at that corner is. But that's like the 4th car we've seen in the last couple of laps go off there. I'm trying to look around the track because I am having a slight issue trying to fix my screens after a moment ago. But I'm not sure what is happening in that corner that is forcing people to have so much issue. But Preston and Luke, the 2 teammates, are going to go side by side. We'll jump back to Max Preston's perspective. He makes the pass back on Justin Lulick after Lulick got him a moment ago. How many laps do we have to go here? We only have 5 to go, I think, 6 to go when they cross the line this time. So this battle has time to simmer, and Michael Chrobok right behind them for position as well. Again, not sure where Rich Foligno or Marshall Crocker Sr. went. Rich Foligno, I think, is rejoining the track now. Maybe not. They are both off. I'm not sure what happened to either of those 2 gentlemen, but looking back to that battle for second, Logan Pacza taken off down the way. You just passed, I think, Marco Felice there, who of course is not for a position. But Justin Lulick got Preston back there at some point through that for that few corners, so he will move back up to second. Chrobok heads off the track again on cold tires, but guys are flying off the track every which way. It's kind of hard to keep up with at this point. I'm not sure what is happening in some of these corners, but that battle for second rages on. Justin Luke trying to defend from Max Preston. He's going to head down the hill. Remember, these 2 are teammates, so to a certain extent, they do kind of want to keep it clean, I'm sure. But, when they're trying to catch Logan Pacza a little ways ahead, you got to be aggressive in some parts. So Logan Pacza, we'll just check on him quickly as he's motoring down the way. He is not really worried about the guys behind him for the time being, but Lulick most certainly is. Max Preston, his teammate, followed by Michael Chrobok behind them. Remember, second and third of Luke and Preston are teammates, but Chrobok is not a teammate of anybody in the top, really. Nobody in the top 3 at all. So a moment ago when Michael had teammates to support his attempted rise to the top, it was going well, but after that, he did not have that same luck. So, or at least as of right now, he doesn't, as we come to 5 to go, and he has no teammates up there to help him. So Devin Crosby's there a little bit of a ways back. Let's check on him for a moment. Yeah, he's about half a straightaway back of Michael Chrobok, but certainly not quite close enough to help him at the time. So looking around the field a little bit, it looks like Andrew Bedrosian is back up to speed after, again, I'm not sure if he had an incident or what, but he did lose time in that last segment. So there's a few drivers that I honestly can't explain what happened to them, but Logan Ferguson crashed again. Rich Foligno was losing spots. I don't know where Foligno was on track. He's showing up in my timing stuff, but he's Marshall Crocker Sr., my father on cold tires, slides off the track. He loops it around, is able to get back up to speed, avoiding a car. He is. So again, there is just so much happening around the track, but whilst also trying to cover this battle for second, it's a pretty chaotic race. Now Marco Felice in the background comes off the track. What is it? What in the world is happening right now? I mean, Felice and West, we've actually got a battle for 12th position going on here, because Jordan West, that these guys are coming up to there in the black car that just went by your screen, he is battling for position with Marco Felice, who's just coming through the hairpin now. So there are battles for position all over the track, just not the conventional ones you'd think of. Rich Foligno's out of the race. I have not a clue what happened to Rich Foligno there a moment ago, but he has now had to bow out of tonight's race, which is a shame to see because he was running second just a moment ago with Michael Chrobok. So no clue what is happening there, but wow. I mean, Lewick still trying to defend from Preston. Again, Lewick, one of the stories of the race is his comeback all the way up to second position from, I think he was 11th at some point in this race. So after coming back from a lap down all the way to second, he's now got to defend from his teammate in third position. But a great finish it would be for the MJ Motorsports teammates here of Lewick and Preston if they were able to finish second and third in this thing. Both finished on the podium. It'd be Preston's first top three in the series ever. Again, I talked about him earlier. He's had some good finishes, but it would be his first official top three finish in the series. So it'd be good to see if it could happen. But Michael Chrobok is going to try to put a stop to that if he can. But Michael's come off the track a few times in these last few laps. He's pushing the car to its absolute limit, but the tires appear to not want to push with him. So after that, Devin Crosby, his teammate, is trying to gain positions wherever he can. And Andrew Bedrosian is another Wide Pedal Motorsports driver, but he's way back for the time being. So 4 laps to go. We're on lap 47. Logan Pacza remains your race leader for the time being. He has just taken off. But honestly, I shouldn't even say taken off. He's only gained about maybe a tenth in the last entire lap from Lewick and Preston. I'm wondering if he's on fuel or something. Michael has gone around again. I think that's the third time in the hairpin we've seen a Wide Pedal Motorsports driver go around in that specific spot. Michael's got massive damage. Who did he make contact with? Devin Crosby. That'll be once again. They're both up to speed, but multi-car wreck. That'll be a caution. Michael's losing debris everywhere. And we're back to, oh, sorry, I got my, there we go. Sometimes I forget to take the little border there down, but, well, let's see exactly what did just happen to Michael Chrobok there. You see he's coming up towards the hairpin, a corner he's kind of had a little bit of trouble with all day. Washes out to the outside dirt there. That spins him around. That's some brutal dirt patch right there. And Devin Crosby, his teammate, makes massive contact with him coming through. Now Jordan West, who already had damage coming up the straightaway, appears to make the pass on him pretty clean. This is at the time where they still weren't under caution, so it wasn't for position, but I think they made contact here one more time down the straightaway. Did West just, like, lose an engine? I'm not sure. Oh, man, when the caution came out, I think he just slammed on the brakes and got absolutely walloped by Michael from behind. That was just a chaotic set of events. Let's see that one more time. Maybe we'll go from Crosby's perspective when he came around the blind corner. But again, that hairpin here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, it's so tough to judge cars in front of you. And, I mean, you have the downhill section, so you have a general idea. Like, you see Crosby here. He can see up to maybe the middle of the hairpin from the top of the hill, but when he comes around, he can't see Chrobok until, like, right there. And by the time he does that, Chrobok's already inching forward to try to get back up to speed. So, just a rough incident for sure. Let's see where Crosby is as we speak. Well, he's on track, still running fine, but may have had to use a quick repair, and if he didn't, well, then he may have minor car damage for the final few laps of this race. Still in the background attempting to, I appear to have messed up my screen there we go. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to balance a few things that I messed around with a moment ago. So finally everything is okay. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our first road course green white checkered of the entire series ever. So this will be a wonderful finish. Looking around the field a little bit. Some more support for Justin. Rich hit Andrew. I didn't notice that, at least currently. Currently, when I was checking earlier, I know that Rich hit it off, but I wouldn't have thought that he would bow out of the race because he, at least to my understanding, he had a quick repair left. I don't think he's... Oh, no, he had an incident earlier in the race that might have left him without 2 instead of 1. So, well, if that's the case, that is a brutal end of the day for Rich Foligno, who, again, was all the way up to 2nd just a moment ago. So I'm really hoping that isn't the case. Andrew Bedrosian is currently in 4th, actually sitting there a few spots behind the guys up in the lead. So, but the guy this is least beneficial for, of course, is, well, your race leader, Logan Pacza, who this just got a lot tougher for Mr. Pacza for sure. Let's just get a quick view on him. But, well, Logan thought he was smooth sailing there for the moment. But another important thing to mention, again, like I talked about, he didn't look like he was pulling away all that quickly. Like he wasn't losing ground for sure, but it was by no means a dominant set of laps for him. Like, he wasn't running away from the guys behind him who were battling as well. I mean, you talk about Chrobok and Luke, both involved in a battle at the time. So, well, the question here is, we come through corner 3 on the track map, is we're on lap 49. It's a green-white checkered, but I don't know if I can guarantee 2 laps when we go to green. So it should be a green-white checkered, and we'd end the race with 2 laps to go. But if not, we are going green this time by. We might only have 1, in which case this is going to be probably the most insane finish we've ever had. Because it's Logan Pacza, who is a very frequent road course winner. He's one of the most talented road course guys I've ever seen on iRacing, let alone in our series. Followed by the 2 MJ Motorsports teammates of Justin Lewick and Max Preston, both, I think, looking for their first podium of the series so far. Preston's looking for his first in general in our series. After that, Andrew Bedrosian, who has 3 podiums to his name so far this year, and 4 top 5s in the series all time in only 4 races. So a lot of talent in that top 4. And then Devin Crosby and Michael Chrobok, who were just involved in an incident, but thanks to quick repairs, I think have their cars back up to speed, and both guys have shown speed all day through the race. So, oh, this is about to get exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your hats, because I'm looking forward to a great finish here for the final couple of laps here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So the pace car is getting ready to head off to the right once we get through these final turns 8 and 9. Got 2 more laps to go. Hope everybody in the chat is exciting. Got some new support here for Justin Lewick, so he's got a huge fan base tonight, and he's had an incredible performance, moving all the way back up to 2nd. So let's see if he's able to win this thing. The pace car is going to take the hard right-hander on to pit road. 2 laps to go. Green flag for the final time, I would hope, for round 4 here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Pacza leads the field to green. Lewick and Preston, as well as Bedrosian, right behind them. The top 4, again, could throw a blanket over him there. The 2 MJ Motorsports teammates getting through corner 1 clean. Now, the important thing to remember is we see Marco Felice coming off there in the background, but manages to save it. And again, he's not for position currently, but Devin Crosby and Michael Chrobok. Chrobok is now trying to make the pass on Crosby, because remember, they might be friends, but they are from 2 different teams. Now as we come through corner 3, I think Bedrosian trying to make a pass happen on Preston. That would be for the 3rd position. Somebody back in the field, I think, had an incident very briefly, but they managed to save the car. So, well, 2 laps to go here indeed. It will be a green-white checkered finish. Coming down here towards the hairpin, Lewick is trying to break away from the cars behind him, but he has not quite made it up to Pacza yet. Gets a pretty good run through the hairpin here. And oh, that was Max Preston in the back. That exact same corner that everybody's been spinning at, the dirt that's built up there in the hairpin must just be killing drivers there for position. And he's back up to speed now with Felice chasing him. Remember, Felice is not for position, but he's got to run away with 1 lap to go from the guys behind him if he wants to keep his, now it would be 4th place position. But back up to the front, Lewick trying to get the slipstream on Pacza as we come down towards corner 8. They got 1 more lap to make something happen here. Lewick almost got to his outside. He's trying to make something happen. Gets to his rear bumper. I think taps him a little bit out of the way. Go to a chase camera on Justin Lewick, perhaps. He is right up behind him, and man, he came close to the back bumper of his car. Michael Chrobok, somewhere in the field, appears to have gone off. Michael trying to rejoin. It's now a white flag, so the race would effectively be over. Devin Crosby's off the track, but with the white flag out, too late to throw a caution. So, well, hopefully he doesn't lose too many positions, because I believe he would probably still have a lap on the guys behind him. But the more important thing is on the final lap here, white flag to go. Sorry, it was a little bit confusing to try to figure out that battle and call the final lap. But again, as we come through the corner 3 for the final time in tonight's race, Lewick heads to the outside of Pacza. Maybe takes a look there to see if he can make a move. Remember, Justin Lewick has never won a race in the Karts to Computers Racing Series. this could be his first, with Bedrosian and the catbird seed right behind. So if something crazy happens between these two for the lead, then, well, Bedrosian will be waiting right there to make something happen, maybe win his first race of the series. So Logan Pacza followed by two guys who would get their first win ever if they were able to make it happen. They come through the hairpin for the final time. Let's see how the slipstream will work coming down through the straightaway here. So Lewick's got he's got a ways to go if he wants to make it up to Pacza, but he's got all straightaway to make something happen here. Bedrosian's only 3/10 behind him, but Lewick, you see there on the timing tower, he's starting to make up room, but I'm worried it's not quick enough if he wants to make a move happen here in 8. So he will have to have the perfect 3 corners of his life if he wants to win this thing from Logan Pacza. He's going to look to the outside. I think he's just a little bit too far back. Bedrosian's going to head down to the inside. Almost manages to clear it. Lewick bounces over the curb. Bedrosian's losing the back end. Bedrosian saves it, will remain in 3rd, but Pacza is going to head around corner 9, now through corner 10. Lewick's too far back to get him. It was a great finish, a great effort from Lewick, but Logan Pacza will take the 3rd straight win of the season at round 4 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. What a finish. What a battle there between himself, Justin Lewick, and Andrew Bedrosian. I mean, Lewick got desperate and tried to make anything he could happen. Max Preston comes away in 4th after just barely missing out on that final position, but Michael Chrobok will come across the line as well, getting the top 5 as his 4th of the season. I mean, his top 5 streak continues, but Devin Crosby, I think, is now in the pits, but I think he'll finish in the 6th position. I don't believe anybody was able to pass him, so certainly I'd imagine not the position he would have wanted, but a 6th. I mean, nobody can really complain with that after how many incidents everybody else had in tonight's race. So, wow, these are the ones that are tough to call, ladies and gentlemen, is trying to balance so many things in that final lap, and you see kind of a celebration last lap there from Logan Pacza. What a performance from him. I mean, coming through that last straightaway for the final time. I'm just waiting for his celebration, and I'll show the replay of that battle. But, wow. I mean, it was... I wasn't sure what Lewick was thinking of doing. I mean, he had a pretty good run through the beginning of that straightaway, but I think by the time they got down to corner 8 and that long sweeping right-hander, he was going to have to do something to the outside if he wanted any chance to get the run on Pacza. And once he committed to the inside, I mean, really his only way he was going to make that is if Pacza checked up and he was going to try to bump and run him, which if he made a bump and run at a Skip Barber car, would have been, oh, well, that's something a little different. Logan appeared to try to escape the track and discovered the wonders of invisible walls here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. But again, we're just going to quickly rewind there and go check out the finish of that race again through the final start. What am I trying to say? The final backstretch run there. So let's go from here. So let's go to our chopper camera, as is always the best way to figure out a battle. So again, car number 1 there, top of your screen is Logan Pacza. Then it's Justin Lewick behind him, and then it's Bedrosian in the orange car for 3rd. So you see there, so Luke thought about an over-under there, I think, and he kind of caught the curb a little bit. I think he may have made contact with Bedrosian on Bedrosian's screen, but what a save by Bedrosian there for sure. I mean, the back end was getting real wobbly on him there. Let's just check maybe from the perspective of Andrew Bedrosian and see exactly what he was looking at. Looking for the cock. There it is. So here's Bedrosian's perspective. You see Lewick checks up trying to make the over-under happen. Bedrosian getting the wheel real squirrely. Gets the wheel cranked all the way to the left, manages to save it. What a save by Andrew Bedrosian, because Max Preston, who was a little ways back at the time, he would have made the pass there for position if he'd had the opportunity. But again, through the final corner there, and you see Logan Pacza heads to the inside to celebrate his victory there. But, well, that'll be Logan's 3rd of the season. And, I mean, Logan wins these races all the time, but, man, that was so close to being a first-time win for one of our drivers tonight. At several points. I mean, Rich Foligno, I thought, based on how the fuel might have gone if we hadn't had any cautions towards the end of that race, that was certainly a possibility that he'd have a shot at the win. But, of course, because of the caution coming out and just how quick Logan and some of the other guys were, that Rich headed back in the field and then got in an incident, unfortunately, which sent him all the way from 2nd and almost in 1st provisionally in the lead all the way to 10th, which is a real shame for sure. But, well, I just need a moment to try to figure out. Well, first of all, I got to go find the guys in the interview booth, but wow. I mean, thank you everybody for watching that chaotic race. Wow. I mean, again, overall, I think as a full-fledged entire race battle, I don't think it was quite as much of a nail-biter as Charlotte was, but that was something chaotic for sure. We're going to throw up your final race results here just to show you exactly where everybody ended up placing with, some guys parked in the pits and seeing just where everybody came out. So, again, your race winner, 3rd time this season, I think his 11th time in series history, Logan Pacza. What a season he's having so far. He was our champion last year in our rookie campaign of this entire series, and He's come back as one of our veteran experienced drivers, and he is just making a showing out of the entire series. He's putting guys on watch every track we come to, and he's now has he won in 3 different disciplines, I think. No, he's well, technically in 3 different disciplines. I mean, he won an IndyCar road course, an IndyCar oval, and then a Skip Barber road course as well. So we have another Skip Barber road course next week at Nürburgring. So that is one that I think will be a lot different race than today, but I'll explain that at the end of our broadcast. But yes, Logan Pacza coming across, 3rd win of the season. Congrats to him. Also gets the bonus points for, of course, being your pole sitter. It feels like every time he is your pole sitter, it's virtually impossible to keep him from the top step of the podium in the race that then ensues. But then Justin Lulick in 2nd position. I mean, you talk about a guy with an amazing race today that just couldn't quite get it done at the end. That comeback there from the incident that I think I mean, you saw him earlier in the race, almost diagonally driving across the track there, but he was able to get it all the way back to the pits. He lost a lap, but thanks to the pit cycles, he was able to get that lap back. He was at the very end of the lead lap there, almost got passed by the leaders, but some well-timed cautions allowed him to stay on the lead lap, which then allowed him to bunch up there on the caution. And then with 5 to go, moved all the way up to 4th, then passed all the way up to 2nd, including passing his teammate Max Preston. And he will now come away with the 2nd position. So it'll be good to talk to him again, because I mean, I talked to him on Friday, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if I was interviewing him tonight on Sunday, and I will be indeed. So congrats to him. And then Andrew Bedrosian with his 4th podium of the season, his third place position of the season. He is just, again, captain consistency, that guy. Feels like Andrew Bedrosian is just never not in conversation for the win for the race. He's just always up there in some capacity, and one of these days he's going to be one of those guys that gets one. I guarantee within well, I call it a guarantee right now. I say he wins one of the next 5 races, and I say Lewick wins one before race 10. I say in the next few we're going to have a new winner, because man, like, Logan doesn't win easy races, I'll tell you that. These guys are pushing for positions in every way they can. And then after that, Max Preston, who gets his best finish of the season, almost gets on the podium once again, but MJ Motorsports teammate there of Justin Lewick, the two of them had great days overall, but Max Preston came pretty close to battling for the lead there. I mean, he was 2nd, I think, with 4 to go, so maybe if the cautions had turned it a little bit differently, he could have come across with the podium position there. But Michael Chrobok, who led quite a few laps today, he was, I think, your leader to a few green flags there, but man, just some chaos went down for him. It felt like every time he'd go through the hairpin, he would just lose the back end there in the dirt, and maybe it's just his natural line that as that dirt cloud started to pile up, it specifically negatively influenced his line more so than other drivers, which would be my guess if I had to make one. But after that, Tevin Crosby, who finished in the 6th position there, again, good friend and Lad Pedal Motorsports team, and Michael Chrobok. The two of them had a really good battle towards the end of the race, and then got in an incident with each other to bring out our final caution of the day. After that, happy Father's Day to my father, Marshall Crocker Sr., who comes away with the 7th position. I think his 3rd of the year. Feels like 7th is just it appears to be his specialty so far this year, but he had a good race overall too. Again, I think one of those guys where if the ending had turned it a little bit differently, he could have fought for almost a podium position. After that, Manuel Guerra and John Guerra, the two Diabolique Motorsports cars, finishing only a lap and 2 laps down apiece, which in a race like today's is a very impressive feat for sure. So the two Diabolique cars will come away with some pretty good bonus points, and should maybe, I think, move up to 5th on our team standings with a performance like that. And then after that, Rich Foligno and Logan Ferguson, both guys who throughout the day Rich Foligno had a really good day overall, and then unfortunately at the end, just as the chat is seeming to suggest, I got in a crash with Andrew Bedrosian that I just happened to miss. So Andrew was able to recover, but unfortunately Rich was not, and he bowed out of the race 8 laps early and finished 10th. And Logan Ferguson finishing at 11th. I know he kind of got into the race last minute, and overall, I mean, he showed up. He did his very best, and there was a few times today where he was making some good moves to allow guys to get by, and overall he was kind of put behind the 8 ball earlier and did his very best. And I respect guys that look to see the race through to the very end, even if they have an incident at the beginning that kind of ends their race early. And then after that, Marco Feliz, who is now joining the M&M Motorsports team, who unfortunately didn't have quite the race he would have wanted to, had a great performance last week on Friday at Charlotte. Had a pretty good bounce back race there, but yeah, unfortunately, just not quite the finish I'm sure he would have liked. I'm sure going forward to Nürburgring, he will again put all the practice he needs to in, and he's a guy with a lot of potential. So I know Marco could have a good finish in the next few races as well. And then Jordan West will round out your field in 13th. Kind of a bizarre race for him. I felt like he was involved in a lot of little incidents, and I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I think he had damage throughout the course of the race that he just never got fixed with a quick repair that sent him into a few cars throughout the course of our race. So with that being said, again, I am on the timing tower, but again, don't acknowledge my presence. That is really just my graphics. That is nothing to do with my actual racing in the series. But actually, important thing to note. Our All-Star race coming up in a few weeks, I will of course be participating in, but I'll give more details about that later. So, for the time being, we will now head to your interview section, as we do every single race. And again, we will interview Andrew Bedrosian for the 4th time this season in just a moment. Let me just get everything set up and grab Mr. Bedrosian in the booth. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall. You got me? Oh, hey, Andrew, it's Marshall. Can you hear me? Hmm. Sorry, Andrew, can you hear me? Not exactly sure what happened there. Kind of going through some weird stuff on my end. Let me just try again. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall. Can you hear me? Well, for the time being, I cannot currently hear Andrew. He's not coming through on my end, and I don't believe he is on the broadcast either. So let me just maybe see if I can find an alternative method if I need to, because we've had this issue in the past. But I know the thing that was causing it before I have fixed. So, huh. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to take a quick second, see if I can figure this out, and I'll be back in a moment. Oh, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I hopefully have the issue fixed, so we're just going to pull Andrew Bedrosian into the broadcast here, and we'll do his interview. Thank you for everybody for sticking around. I know on occasion we have these little interview mishaps, but hopefully we get this one fixed pretty quickly. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, we got that all figured out. I know that it's going to be a little bit different in terms of quality than usual, but I think we got it all figured out. So for the time being, well, congratulations, Andrew, pulling away with your fourth podium of the season. I believe you're the only driver with a podium in every single race. So the captain consistency title that I gave to somebody else last season, I guess I'm going to give to you now because wow, you appear to come away with a good position every single race, and you had some adversity there throughout the course of the race. I was hearing in the chat in our YouTube stream that you had an incident at some point with Rich Foligno. Is that the case?
I don't think it was. I don't know. Somebody ran into the back of me, like right when I came out of the pits. We were under yellow, so I don't know, somebody hit me, and then I came, spun out, and I mean, still was sliding, so I couldn't get out of the way of anybody. And then looked to the right, and somebody was on their way to hit me in the onto the right front. So I don't really know who hit me, but it was probably Rich. I know he was pretty mad.
Yeah, I don't think it didn't from my screen, it didn't look intentional. I think it was Jordan West in the incident that I think you were referring to, but point is, you went through some adversity there at the end of the race, and it was a chaotic effort for sure. But in that final little battle, do you just want to walk me through that the battle with Logan and Justin, and just like what was going through your head in that last final 2 laps? And were you expecting an incident there, and were you just waiting back and seeing if that was going to happen, and then you would slide in there for the win, or were you going for the position on Justin that entire last few laps?
So I was pretty much aiming to take one at a time without making any contact through the hairpin, or going down the hill to the hairpin. I really didn't want to ram Max or do anything to destroy his position or mess up any part of anybody else's race. I was trying to be really respectful during this whole entire race, even though cars were sliding everywhere. I was pretty happy to see him spin out, like I did, around lap 35 or so. Uh, and that put enough time in between Max and I, that I made the error. So I was really happy to see, I never lost that podium. But on that last lap, right before we turned into the last three turns, I was going to try to make a move on Justin because I thought he was going to try to stick to the outside. He hit the curb on the inside, sort of freaked me out. I didn't want to hit him and take both of us out and give podiums to anybody else. So tried not to hit him, saved it, came away with the podium.
You did save it indeed. And that was honestly, that was one of the better saves I've ever seen on iRacing. You had the hands going there and you made it work. So props to you on that, managing to come through with your third place position. Just talking about the whole race in general. So I know you said you've never come here to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Of course, us Canadian guys that have run here a lot on the karting side that are very familiar with the track. Do you just want to talk about your experience and your understanding of even just the layout as basically as that before coming into this race, just from a different background as a lot of the karting drivers that run here?
Yeah, with like NASCAR, I know the outdoor truck series run here, so I mean, it gave me a bit of an idea of what the track's like. I really don't run the Skip Barber cars at all, so it definitely gave the karting guys a big advantage, and this could have been a great opportunity to take advantage of that from me. Sadly, just didn't work out for anybody else to take that advantage, but Justin definitely took that advantage. So great job on his part. Uh, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm looking for the next race to still keep up the points and stay in this race to the championship.
Yeah, speaking of which, then the Skip Barber series. I mean, we go to our second of three Skip Barber races this season back to back when we go to Nurburgring on Friday. And speaking of Nurburgring, that's one that I've talked about with a lot of guys in the series that have had a very unsure understanding of exactly how that race will work. I mean, it's only 10 laps around a track that takes 8 minutes. I mean, Nurburgring is just a beast. Like, what are you expecting going into that? What's your strategy? Is it to race guys early for position and just wait for all the chaos to unfold there, or are you just purely focused on making it around a track as difficult as the Nordschleife?
I mean, I've run there a couple times, not with Skip Barber, but I think it's a pretty fun track. Probably not with Skip Barber because of the downforce issue and it's sliding all over the place. Probably going to still use the same strategy I used tonight. Um, just let people wreck and check up when I have to, keep myself out of wrecks, um, and just keep my whole car intact, basically like that. And I'll just cruise on to the win like I did tonight. Or not win, but podium win.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, or a few seconds before the interview, I mean, you're one of those guys that just keeps getting closer and closer. And I mean, tonight you only came about half a second away. Honestly, if that last couple corners of the race had gone a little differently, I could be talking to you just a few minutes from now. But Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get one of these days, man. You're getting closer and closer, and in a Skip Barber series you're not too familiar with at a track you've never run, to come away with a third as dominantly as you did today. I mean, you got a good season ahead of you, I'd imagine. So, well, congratulations again, Andrew. And again, do you have anybody to thank or you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank Stamos and Stamos Realtors for sponsoring me, JP West Photo, and just want to thank my family for watching, and I want to thank you for broadcasting this.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you again, Andrew. It's again always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at Nurburgring on Friday, seeing how well that goes. And I know we'll talk to you through the week because I think we're going to do some offline races outside of the series for a bit. So hopefully you can make it out to those and have a good rest of your night.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Well, with that, we finish up your first interview of the night with Andrew Bedrosian, who, as I mentioned again, gets his fourth podium of the season. He is currently undefeated when it comes to getting top three positions. But now to a guy who I believe gets his first top three position of the season, but one that I was talking to a little bit more in depth just a few days ago over at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Mr. Justin Lewick. Can you hear me in the booth?
I can, Marshall. How you doing?
I'm not doing too bad at all, but I mean, you came away here with the second place position tonight, and in one of the better comebacks I've ever seen in this series. You came all the way from I think 10th at one point after your incident early in the race. Did you just kind of walk us through what the incident was that led you to get the damage there, and then what you, kind of your journey all the way back up to second here?
Well, I mean, it all kind of started at the beginning. So, lap one, there was an incident, I believe, into Moss Corner, which is turn five, the hard braking zone, going back up the hill before the straight. And I believe there was an incident behind me, and somebody either made contact with my rear or climbed over me. So, that caused a little bit of rear wing damage, which I was kind of battling with for the majority of the race. And then, I mean, it's a little bit embarrassing. I don't know if I want to talk about it, but yeah, on one of the restarts, I just carried a little bit too much speed on cold tires, rubbed up nice and friendly with the curb, slid off a tiny bit, and that just sent the whole car around. So, it's just one of those instances where, in hindsight, I should have given, let off the throttle a little bit, but it is what it is. And all you got to do is put your head down and keep fighting.
Absolutely, and that is indeed what you did in the aftermath of that couple of laps. And I mean, you talk about getting on the curb there and heading around. All race, we were seeing guys spinning out, especially in the hairpin. I think there must have just been a dirt build up there after lap, but guys were struggling there. We were seeing guys heading around one by one throughout the race, and I mean, you just kind of want to talk about the track itself here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. What's the track like comparably to the Skip Barber races we ran last season in season one? And yeah, do you just want to talk about like the most difficult parts of the track if it was for dirt or things like the hairpin?
Well, I love this track. I have done quite a few laps in practice in all kinds of different cars on iRacing, and then I've also been fortunate enough to do a couple test days driving the track in person. And it's a phenomenal facility. It is actually, I think, the second highest top speed circuit in North America in terms of average speed. So as you can see, a lot of straights, a lot of just carrying speed through corners. But I find with the skip barbers, it's very similar to Spa of last year or of last season. Which for those who watched that, I believe I finished second there too. So maybe there's something there for me. But yeah, it was very similar where a lot of the course is flat out, but I find to be quick at the circuit in these cars, you really have to have a certain finesse, which comes just with more practice and more time getting used to this car on this track. You really have to find corners where you're carrying enough speed, but making sure you're drifting enough that you're able to just be smooth all the way through.
Right, and you talk about that finesse that's really the key with these Skip Barber cars, especially at the very beginning of runs on cold tires and things like that. And it's something that I think on ovals you don't have that same sentiment where ovals are much more of a long term making little adjustments lap after lap thing, whereas the case of the skill and practice it requires at some more difficult road courses like this, it's a whole different beast entirely. But you seem to conquer that said beast well. And I talked to you on Friday when you were in the booth with me there commentating the end of the Charlotte race. I said I would by no means be surprised if I saw you out here in victory lane once again or on the podium and I was interviewing you tonight. And that is most certainly what happened. So great performance tonight, Justin. Overall, it was a chaotic race, and I know you had quite a few fans there in the chat. You had some good support going there, so it was good to see you make that comeback all the way up here to second. And I will just say for the final question, just heading forwards to Friday for our race at Nurburgring, also still in the Skip Barber series, but That'll be a crazy one. I know that everybody I've talked to seems to have very different understandings of what to expect for Nürburgring. So, what's your perspective going into it, knowing the difficulty of the track, knowing just how long the laps are, knowing how catastrophic incidents can be? Just what's your mindset going into a track like the Nordschleife?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be the type of race where slow is almost fast. I mean, you're going to see tons of people who are really going to be pushing it. And all it takes is a tiny little mistake to ruin your whole day at a track like that. For those who are unfamiliar, it is, well, I have no idea how long it's going to be in these cars, but for average, quick production cars, they run about 8 second or 8 minute to 7 minute laps. And in the skip barbers, I think it's going to definitely be flat out for the majority of it, but really just keeping it clean. And I'm actually this week going to be unavailable for practice. So I don't know how many laps I'll actually be able to turn before the race, but we'll see what happens. And honestly, I'm excited to see how everything turns out.
Oh, absolutely. It's one that I'm curious to see exactly how broadcasting it will go because it's not. I'm just going to say outright for those of you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're expecting a race full of battling and stuff like the end of tonight's between yourself, Justin, and Logan and Andrew, you're not going to be seeing that at Nürburgring. You're going to be seeing hopefully 15 guys all trying their very best to just survive at like a 12-mile track. And yeah, I think it is about 8 minutes a lap in the Skip Barber cars in my experience running there before. So 10 laps at 8 minutes apiece. It sounds simple, but man, when we get to that broadcast, I can't wait to show you guys just how insane that's going to be. But well, Justin, even if you aren't going to be able to make it out to too many practices, I wish you the very best in that race. And I know that I'm willing to host races, or willing to host a practice literally every night this week if I need to, because that is one that guys that whenever they're free, they need the time to work on because it is a tough beast to tame for sure. But overall,
Oh,
Justin,
for
thank you.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, thank you, Justin, for racing with us tonight. I mean, you coming away with the second position, and the only thing I think better than your commentary skills on Friday is your ability here at Canadian Tire. So, well, congratulations. I'll throw you out the option to you to thank everybody in the crowd that was watching you on the chat there, and anybody you want to give a shout out to.
Well, thank you very much, Marshall. I think first and foremost, I have to say thank you to all the fathers out there on today, which is obviously Father's Day. I know tons and tons of people whose dads do so much for them, or father figures even do so much for them throughout their life and especially through childhood. And my dad especially, I mean, he's allowed me to do so much in terms of following my dreams and being able to chase this racing bug that it seems all of us here have caught. And I'm beyond thankful to be able to do that, and it's all because of him and all because of his endless support. So huge, huge, huge thanks to my dad and also to all the dads out there. And hopefully they had a nice Father's Day and were able to enjoy a day celebrating the hard work that a lot of the time goes unnoticed.
Awesome. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, Justin. I mean, yeah, for a Father's Day race, I think I gave a pretty good, or I think you guys gave a pretty good show out there today. And overall, thank you for saying that. I mean, thank you for again putting on the show yourself. That battle at the end was one of the most fun I've seen in a road course race in the series ever, and just what a fun race today. What a good performance by you, Justin, coming away with the second. Your teammate at a fourth. So MJ Motorsports has good things coming for the rest of the year. But overall,
Oh,
this
I
thing.
think it's JM Motorsports now that I finished ahead, right?
You're right. It was today, and you even did the race before. So look at you. You're on a streak going. Now here's my final question. Maybe a short question. When will we see MJ Motorsports come back this season?
Well, hopefully never. Hopefully I'm able to stay on top of Max there, but Max is extremely quick. I've raced with him for years and years in person in karting, and he's just a phenomenal driver. So I'm very happy to be with him. And surprising enough, I just to talk really quickly about the battle at the end. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I actually ran out of fuel coming across the line. I My engine started sputtering coming into the last corner, or I guess the last chicane, and if we went any farther, I would have been out of that race. But luckily, I was able to just get ahead. And I mean, obviously, you can't see it at home, but in my simulator seat here, I was literally hopping forwards, hoping that that would do something, which unfortunately is not how simulators work. But I was able to cross the line, and yeah, it was very close, but it ended up working out.
Well, if there was anybody with the passion for winning that would try to push push in their seat to try to get the car to move forward. It's you, man, and that's why it's so impressive to see you getting performances like this. And it's good, as you mentioned before. It's your second place at a Skip Barber race in our series. So again, thank you for making it always entertaining. Thanks for being in the booth. I mean, between in the booth on Friday and interviews like this, you're always a fun guy to talk to. You're a very stand-up guy to talk to, and you're well-spoken. So it's always a pleasure to have you. And again, as I said on Friday, I would imagine I'll be talking to you in the booth again in an interview in the next couple of races, if I had to guess. So, well,
Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, I can do that a little bit sooner rather than later. But yeah, thank you very much, Marshall, and thank you for again doing all this commentary and all this work to really make this series what it is. I mean, we're out here doing the racing and having fun, but honestly, behind the scenes, it's all you. You're the whole reason this thing is possible, and I think we all owe you a huge thanks to allowing us to do this.
well, thanks, man. It's been a pleasure to host, and it's been so much fun to see races like this, and even just aside from commentary, just to personally get to watch iRacing races with people I know, and as competitive as races like today. So, well, thank you, Justin, for saying all that. It's been a pleasure to have you, and well, have a good rest of your night. I wish your dad out there a happy Father's Day if he's watching, and just have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Marshall. You too. And oh, I forgot, but please wish your dad for me a happy Father's Day as well. And yeah, thank you again, and have a great night.
Will do. Thank you, Justin.
All right, see ya.
Well, with that, we finish up your second to last interview of the night with Justin Lulick. Again, what a stand-up guy. I mean, he tries his very best. I'll give him that. He puts in a lot of effort, and he's very passionate about racing. And I know he's got a pretty successful racing life and racing career outside of the series. So bigger and better things are going to come for Justin Lulick in this series. But finally, speaking of bigger and better things, it feels like every time I think Logan Pacza is counted out, and I think, well, he can't possibly win another one, can he? Well, we come back here with his 11th win in the series all time. Logan, congratulations, and can you hear me in the booth?
I can.
Well, first of all, I mean, again, absolute props to you tonight. That was a tough performance in a lot of ways. It was a chaotic race for sure, as I think both of our two road course races this season have been. We went through quite a few cautions at the very beginning. I think we had 6 overall in the race, but as the race progressed, it just seemed like the track got tougher and tougher to run and tougher to keep the car underneath you, and or not you specifically, but the drivers in general. And I know the hairpin was getting all filled up with dirt, which was more difficult to handle. And just overall, like whether it be between the track that I know not a lot of people actually do run in my experience on iRacing, or the changing track conditions with the dirt on the track, or just the overall layout, what was the most difficult, tricky part that would have held you away from a first?
I think it was definitely the double right-hander just before the really long straight. As far as I can tell, I think a couple cars made a little mistake under braking, and they put 2 tires in the dirt on the inside, and that started just like putting more and more dirt on the track. So braking was getting really tough into there. I think I almost lost it a couple times. So that was definitely the most challenging thing.
Right. And I mean, the dirt that was piling up, I think you talked about a couple of guys, but I think I saw like 10 plus times today that guys just individually on their own just kind of wiped out there in that double right hand hairpin there. And it was a tricky corner overall, but it was a tricky race from your perspective too. I mean, you walk through the entire thing. You went through, I think, 3 or 4 cautions as the leader, and then we got to about lap 12 where you got in a battle with Michael. Michael was able to make the pass, and then just an unfortunately timed caution put you behind the 8 ball for a bit. But once all the fuel strategy stuff cycled out and we came to the end of our race, you were in a battle for 2 laps to end off the race with Justin Lulick and Andrew Bedrosian. To just kind of want to talk me through your plan in those last 2 laps, how you were attempting to defend, and then that final backstretch there where Justin almost made the pass.
So the thing that you have to keep in mind in the last couple laps is that you can never break away from someone when you have a backstretch that big, right? So I wasn't thinking about trying to get away from him. I was trying to make sure that I knew when he was gonna possibly be able to pass me in places otherwise than that black stretch. So I believe that a couple times, I think twice in the turn 4, he almost passed me. And just really trying to predict when he's going to get those runs is more important than focusing on trying to pull away from the person behind you, because you can't really do that when you have a backstretch that big.
Right, and I'd imagine even in your head, even if he was going to be able to make the move, well, at least you did still have that backstretch to your advantage in that case as well. But Yeah, overall, that battle at the end was chaotic. I know that Lillik and Bedrosian almost spun themselves, and I know Justin said he ran out of fuel there at the end. In terms of pit strategy, what was the fuel level like throughout the race? I mean, I know you went very long in that first stint. As a result, I would imagine of several slow speed, caution pacing sections. But towards the end, like how were you on fuel? What was your strategy there, and were you at any point in the race trying to conserve?
No, I was actually able to run the race completely flat out. I know that a lot of the LPM guys, they were trying to cycle their drivers so that they could all get one like bonus point for leading the race. I just talked to Michael just now, and they were pitting a lot, trying a lot of different stuff. Whereas I wasn't pitting under caution. I don't think. I just tried to run the stints as long as I could because with the way that these tires work, the more you drive them, the faster they get because they're radials. So I just tried to run my fuel as long as I could. I think I was safe on fuel. I think I had about maybe 7 extra laps. So I was really okay on fuel. Strategy wasn't a big worry for me during this race.
Well, I mean, if you get strategy out of the way, it really just comes down to driver pace, and you had that in spades. Whether it be qualifying on the pole, I think for the third time this season, you qualified in the top two. Actually, you and Michael have qualified top two every race so far. The two of you are just locked in a heated battle for the championship. But this race will once again help you extend your lead a little further as he came across fifth. But well, looking again to the future, we come to race five next week at Nürburgring on Friday at the end of the week, which is probably the most out there race of our entire season. Nürburgring is like nothing comparable to any other race we do this year. So first of all, I just got to ask, like, what's your experience running at the Nordschleife, and what are you expecting the mindset you go into it being on Friday?
Well, I used to run a lot of Nürburgring Nordschleife in project cars in GTE cars, and I believe that it was different layout in project cars. I think that it was a slightly older layout. But as far as I can tell, most of the main sections, like the carousel, the first couple corners, are all the same. So if I can just keep those like core sections in the back of my mind, just making sure that not to make mistakes, because obviously skip arbors are really fragile cars. So if you hit the wall, you can lose a tire almost instantly. And I'm only speculating that towing is going to be maybe 10 minutes plus if you like crash at the start of the lap. So I think it's just going to be a war of attrition this race. I think that making mistakes is really, really going to cost you.
Absolutely. And as Justin alluded to in his interview, it's going to become a case of, okay, well, do you prioritize just keeping it slow and staying as safe as possible rather than running the pace you normally would? Would you prioritize that over, running as fast as you can? And I mean, it's something that's interesting. And I think whenever it comes down to a case of driver skill and experience and drivers trying to make the right decisions, those are the races in which you thrive. So, well, I'd imagine. I think you've had one other three race winning streak in the history of the series. I don't know if you've ever had a four, but are you feeling pretty confident going to Nurburgring? Are you feeling like you could get that first ever four race winning streak?
I'll try my best. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can happen. I never go into a race weekend or a race like this thinking, you know, I probably will win. I always accept, a change in a race. Maybe if I crash, I never try to set expectations for myself because I can get disappointed, right? So I always try and go into a race with no expectations and just try to adapt as best as I can to what's going on around me.
Well, and at the end of the day, with the series that's as ever changing as this one, with all the different cars and tracks, that's really all you can ever ask as well. So, well, again, congratulations on today. Let's not focus on the future for the time being, but celebrate your win today. So, congrats again here at winning at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. A very difficult race overall, and on Father's Day as well. So, congrats to you. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, or you want to give a shout out to your dad, who I know is always in our chat on the YouTube streams?
Yeah, I would definitely like to give a shout out to my dad. Happy Father's Day. And I would like to give a shout out to Prime Power Team, Canadian Mini Indy for allowing us to kart. It's honestly been great these past couple weeks. I'd like to give a shout out to everyone that comes here and, makes this race so exciting. I like to shout out my family, and I'd like to thank you, Marshall, for allowing all this to happen. and just giving us something that's overall just a real good time.
Yeah, and a real good time is all I can ever ask from you guys. Is just that you guys come out and you have a good time and you give us exciting races like this, so that I can always run these broadcasts. And again, that look into the future. This is what I'm looking to do. So to have an opportunity to get the experience like this and to get the enjoyment out of watching you guys, especially on days like this, where I can hopefully give your dad the best Father's Day possible, seeing you win in a race like this, it's really nice. So thank you again, Logan. The thanks goes to you as well for being one of the most stand-up guys I've ever met through racing, and just one of the most talented drivers in this series. You set a benchmark for everybody, and as of right now, I know some guys are getting close. We're getting more and more competition as every week goes by, but well, you give us a workhorse champion in our series, and for that, I got to thank you. So thank you, Logan. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for your great performance. Congrats on the win, and have a good rest of your week.
You too, Marshall.
And with that, we cap off the final interview of our race tonight for round 4 of the Karts and Computers Racing Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Again, I just want to say now that I am going to be remembering it from the interview. Again, a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I know it was in some races it was a slower section, but I like to think that final battle there at the end was exciting enough that it was worthy for all the you dads out there for a Father's Day race. So happy Father's Day to everybody out there, including my own. Overall, let's just one more look at the results there. I know it's a horribly placed screen. I don't know why the scenic view of the track decides to give me that billboard, because it makes it really tough to read the banner behind it. Again, I promise I'm trying to put the team names in this graphic, but as of right now, I still can't find a way to. And also my logo in the top left corner there in the little black box. I'm trying to find out ways to do it. I will have it done at some point. Hopefully by next broadcast. I got a whole week ahead of me to work on that. So hopefully going forward, we'll have this broadcast even bigger and better. And one day, I promise I'll take my name off that graphic there. But overall, that is your final results for tonight's race. Now, quickly before we head off tonight, and well, I wouldn't say let you guys go. You can leave whatever you want. But before I head off tonight and sign off, again, we talked about it in the interviews there, but we're going to Nürburgring on Friday. And when I say that Nürburgring is going to be the weirdest iRace you've ever seen, I am serious, because Nürburgring, for those of you that don't know the Nordschleife circuit, the Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit is about 12 miles. And it's a journey. Like it is going through mountains. You're weaving across cliffs. There are trees in the background. iRacing. I'm kind of worried almost about the broadcast, the ability for the broadcast to stream. I might have to get like a fancy internet setup going, because it is a massive track on iRacing, and to display it all is going to be chaotic. And it's not going to be a case of battles. It's going to be a case of everybody just trying to survive. And I'll do my very best to find ways to make it as different as possible. Might throw together some new videos or something to make it a little more hyped up. But overall, it's going to be a super exciting race. So if there's anyone that I implore you guys to watch, if you've never seen a race like Nürburgring, absolutely tune in on Friday. It's one that I'm really, really excited for. But in terms of tonight's race, again, I thought it was a great time. It was a pleasure to see some guys that I know I know always try really hard, having good races. Justin Lewick, again, a very stand-up guy. Andrew Bedrosian coming away with another podium. Guy that puts a lot of effort in practice, and he's very passionate about the series. I talked to him quite a bit. So, same with Max Preston, who keeps having great times in practice and just wasn't quite able to put together an incredible race like he had today until today. So, good to see guys like that having success. And overall, just thank you again, everybody, for watching. And again, hopefully you guys can tune in on Friday. There's one more thing I was going to say, and I completely blanked on it. Oh, final thing. Sorry. I keep forgetting. I'm going to start putting things in the description for the future in the races. I know that these are, when they go up on YouTube, it's usually just the live YouTube replays that don't have a description or anything fancy. And I don't currently, but I might try to edit it after the race. So if you tune in again in the future, I'm going to leave all the links to like the music and stuff I use in the broadcast and all that there. But I'm also going to leave the links to some social media things. The Karts to Computers Racing Series has a page on Facebook that I run. I haven't updated it since like final race of last season, just because I get so swamped trying to set up stuff for the series itself, that I run out of time to update the Facebook page. But I have enough time, so I'm going to start trying to update it again. So if you ever want updates, I'm going to start posting about race winners. I'm going to post the team standings there and stuff and everything fancy, maybe highlights from the races if I get the chance. So there will be all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, so overall, just everybody feel free to go check that out. I'll post it in the description tomorrow, so it'll be down there. Or just look up Karts and Computers Racing Series on Facebook, and you'll see the page there. So if you ever want information about when races are, if race dates change or race timing changes, then it'll all be posted there. Overall, again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Feel free to check that out. If any of you want to get in contact with me, I might leave that down in the description too. If anybody has any inquiries, again, I would be happy to show different sponsorship videos if anybody out there was interested. So maybe I'll put the link to that as well. But overall, again, thank you everybody for watching. As always, as I mentioned in the interviews, it's just a pleasure to host this and a pleasure to have the chance to do this and to do something with my week that's meaningful to the guys that run it, as well as I hope the people out there that are able to watch it. So thank you everybody that sticks around through the interviews like this. Thank you for the amazing race we've had overall. And again, I can't wait for the as we've just had it dubbed in the chat, the Nürburgring Adventure on Friday night. So thank you everybody again. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and have a great rest of your night. Have a great week, everybody, and I will hopefully see all of you on Friday.